Yeah, about to have me some duckton. What the what the heck? What the hell? I had my mouth. What the
Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Well, nobody else could make a decision but me because I was the president, and the final decision comes to the president.
You know, it's easy enough for a Monday morning quarterback to say what the coach should have done after the game's over. But when the decision is up before you, and on my desk I have a motto which says the buck stops here, the decision has to be made.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I could say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yep.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think has been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and cast it specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you retired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent now says he'll raise them as a last resort or a third resort. But when a politician talks like that, you know that's one resort he'll be checking into. And my opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no. And they'll push, and I'll say no. And they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh, shit.
Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
Now, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical.
Hold it. Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by. Will you shut up,
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this
I'd like to
investigation?
punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one other
go ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question: which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, every poll?
No, sit down. Sorry, Eric. Sit down. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
I ain't talking politics. I'm talking life.
I ain't talking politics. I'm talking life.
All right, here we go again for another TFP Tuesday. This is Van Cat, and we're back again with Tape Fist Politics. And once again, I'm on the panel with the world's most dangerous political panel. This is, first of all, Jeremy. What's going on, Jeremy?
Not much, man. How was it? How was your weekend and everything?
It was okay. It was okay. Not as
Good.
bad as Trump's weekend, but
Hey, that's a blessing. There you go. No, it's a pleasure again to be on here with the fellas.
All right. Oh, thank you. Well, I have in the queue waiting to come up on the panel. It says Ricardo, but it doesn't look like Ricardo, so I'm not sure about that. It's a different kind of logo on there, and so I'm not too sure if I should let that up. I don't know if that's Ricardo or not. Ricardo, if you could send some sort of a message in the chat or something just to confirm, or turn on your camera for a second because I can't tell if it's Ricardo.
It's an imposter.
Hey, we've had him the last few weeks. I'm
not surprised.
All right, so we are here today for the episode number 35. And in this episode, it is titled The Dark Church Deception, Prophets Over Prophets. And, we've had a sort of religion and Bible type of episode before, the politics of religion. And in that episode, we looked through a lot of problematic videos that happened over the years and decades, with some scandalous moments in the religious the religion. He just sent a message, Ricardo. Hold on one second, everyone. He's confirming that it is Ricardo. Give me a second. Let me just bring Ricardo up on the panel. Ricardo, are you there? Ricardo?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was you or not.
I'm playing around with the StreamYard app, so I'm picking avatars left, right, and center, and getting acquainted with the app itself as opposed to the actual link that we usually press. So that's why you realize it's press me.
Okay, because at first it was a chicken. I was like, wait a minute, I don't know if this is Ricardo or not. That was a sheriff. So, all right, so we got that cleared up. So, introduce yourself to the panel, Ricardo.
Hey, Straight Talk Society, TFP crew. It's Ricardo in the house. Just coming off a very what we call it, a very somber weekend for those who serve our country well. Just reflecting on how that is a very important thing to do, and not many people can rise to the cause of doing that. So we applaud those who serve, like some of my friends and family members who are in the armed forces. So salute to all of y'all. And let's get into the politics of the day.
All right. So let's go into our first video of the night. This is going to be pertaining to the subject matter of the dark church, the deception of the dark church, prophets over prophets. So it's only right that we start with that pastor known as Dollar. So let's look back at this old news clip.
Creflo Dollar was arrested on charges he punched and choked his teenage daughter. And as Dan Harris reports tonight, the pastor was back before his congregation preaching and pushing back.
Creflo Dollar's congregation stood and cheered as he took to the pulpit to defend himself.
The truth is that a family conversation with our youngest daughter got emotional. She was not choked. She was not punched. There were not any scratches on her neck, but the only thing on her neck was a prior skin abrasion from eczema.
Police say Dollar choked his 15-year-old daughter in the family mansion outside Atlanta.
The altercation actually stems from an argument over the 15-year-old attending a party.
He was arrested early Friday. The pinstripe-wearing, prosperity-preaching paragon of virtue, a man with a TV show that reaches 1 billion people and a private plane, looking supremely glum in his mugshot.
Anything you want to say to your congregation?
No, sir.
This is not his first brush with controversy. In 2008, Dollar and other televangelists were investigated by a U.S. senator for using tax-free donations to fund their lavish lifestyles.
If you don't know no better, you'll stay in the ghetto all your life.
Just as his followers stood by him during the Senate investigation, which ultimately found no wrongdoing, they appear ready to back their pastor yet again.
I should have never been arrested. Never. And when the facts of this come out, you will be appalled.
Dan Harris, ABC News, New York.
Okay. It's just amazing how, I don't know how forgiving one can be, but they'll back them to the bitter end. My goodness. So let's go to Jeremy on this one. Jeremy, what do you think of Mr. Dollar?
First off, his last name tells you what he's all about, so that's a dead giveaway. Secondly, I'm going to go to a scripture that perfectly describes this gentleman here in Isaiah 56, 10 and 11. We're gonna speak on Mr. Dollar, Mr. Nickel, Mr. Quarter, Mr. Penny, Mr. Good for Nothing hustler. That's what he is. He's a pimp and a hustler. He might as well wear a bright red hat with a dookie chain. That's what he is. He ain't no preacher. Isaiah 56, 10 and 11 reads, "For as the rain," we'll go to 11. 56, 10, 11. Yeah. Verse 10. "His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber." Verse 11. "Yea, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, everyone for his gain from his quarter." That's what they are. Another scripture reads in St. Matthew 12 and 34. I mean, it's all here on exactly what these men are all about. And these people have the same heart and mind as these preachers, and they're no good. Verse 36, St. Matthew 12 and 36 says, "But I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." And then we'll forward down. Basically the scripture that I was looking for was, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh," which I believe is in St. Matthew 24 and 11. That's what they are. They love money. Timothy speaks on it. The love of money is the root of all evil. and many there be that covet after it. So he is greedy. He's a greedy, dumb dog, and he can never have enough. That's what I got to say about this pimp / hustler. He ain't no preacher. He ain't no prophet. He ain't no man of God. He's of his daddy, the devil.
All right, thank you, Jeremy, for that. All right, Ricardo, what do you think of Dollar and all the controversy that he has with money and such?
Not Mr. Dollar. I didn't even know that was his name the whole time, to be honest. I just remember seeing this man a lot on TV in the early 90s going into the 2000s threshold. It's amazing, though, because I remember him from the previous controversy, which was him finding the loophole to fraud the system, whereas they're funding their lifestyle. So he had a lot of times people were asking how is it possible that this man was able to afford a private jet and all of that? You know what I mean? It's not like you're a state leader, or that for that matter, why do you need a private jet? And I remember it was him and the other guy that we posted a while back, I can't remember his name, and they were trying to state that we have mega churches, so we're important people. We need to have certain modes of transportation, and we need to move in certain circles. I'm like, if you don't go sit down somewhere, I could have swore the Bible made it clear, there's certain things that you ought not to be doing. You ravish in certain lifestyles is not really very Christian-like of you. If you really wanted to make a difference in your community in terms of your church and your congregation, you would have took that funds and money that you have, Mr. Dollar, and invested back into your congregation. That's what good leaders do. I never understood. It's like he was trying to justify, and he doubled down on it too. I remember that, and thinking to myself, you were an important asset to the community, and you then want to double down by saying, hey, I do need the private jet because I need to be going here, there, and everywhere, and everywhere. Sorry, you're not that important, sir. Please have several seats. So I didn't know that was his name the whole time. It's ironic that his name is Dollar. I would have changed my name if that was me, but I digress. But yeah, very interesting church. What do we call him? A bishop, leader? What do we call him? Because I don't even know what to call these people these days.
He's a false prophet.
The Decepticons of religion. False prophets and whatnot. And by the way, there's even more stuff about him. I'm not sure if MD is aware because he's from MD State. But there's quite a lot of stuff that the streets have been talking about him for years about. But I digress. I'm sure it will come up at some point. But yeah, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, I think it holds true here with this Mr. Dollar.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. MD, welcome to the panel. What do you think here about Mr. Dollar, mega church? He has over a million followers online and in church.
Well, first and foremost, peace. What's going on? What's happening? I don't know if I sound that good because I'm on my earbuds right now. I forgot to charge my headset. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Peace to the panel. Peace to everybody. Yeah, I had to make sure I was good. So again, there's an old saying where it says, "Freedom is not free." In the essence of the example of what Creflo Dollar has been given, along with several other prosperity preachers, this is the downside, and it pains me to say this. This is the downside to individualism. Why do I say that? Because there's always going to be vulnerable people to prey on at the end of the day, dealing with an individualist mindset. Creflo Dollar preys on people, as well as other people. He's just an example. The 501c3 is the worst thing that ever happened to the religious freedoms of America. Even though there is religious freedom in it, it gives this opportunity. As Jeremy Dunbar would say, it gives the ability for doctrines of devils to seep in, and that's exactly what's happening. That's just what it is. This is the Jeremy Dunbar show edition of Texas Politics because I'm gonna let him rock out for the night because he tailor made for this particular topic. So I'm gonna let him rock. That's the technician. You know, whatever you need to know, just defer to him, Zancat, in regards to this particular topic. But yeah, 501c3 has allowed doctors of devils to come in and be a predominant part of our religious society based on the freedom that we've been given. That's the caveat. Now, it's up to the individual to discern, but as we all know, a lot of us are sheep. So we tend to look out for hope and some type of substance in our lower time. Unfortunately, we get preyed upon while doing so. And Creflo Dollar is a perfect example. Perfect example. That's my take on that. And he's also a nigga. That's why he did what he did when he got locked up.
I'd like to double down on the 50. What is it? What is it? The 50.
501c3.
501c3. So I'm going to give you what Jesus said because, like I said before, I have no problems if the government wants to have whatever they're cut. I could care less because this is what Jesus said. They say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. So if the government wants to do it, Jesus said, give it to them, because this is not our home. This is not where we belong. This is not paradise. This is not heaven. This is, if this was heaven, I mean, if this was hell, I'd take it. But if it was heaven, I wouldn't take it. I'll be honest with you, because the place that's going to be prepared for us is far greater than this world could ever have. So if you want to take the money, go ahead. God's going to give the increase regardless, just like he did to the Israelites back in Moses' day when they tried to oppress them. They tried to oppress the Israelites, but because the Israelites continued to do what Egypt said, God came and delivered them from that. So if that's what you want to do, and I have no problems with it, because like I said, it also states that naked you came into this world, and naked you shall return. Dust goes back to dust, and the spirit goes back to God. You can't take it back with you, so what good is it? Take that what you have and do it for the glory of God and to betterment of your fellow mankind. And that is definitely a commandment. It's funny that we're talking on this because the other day we were talking about your alms deeds and how your alms deeds can save you from sin. So it is our duty as believers, as Christ followers, to give unto those. It is our duty to give to those less fortunate. And it is our duty to sacrifice because this is not our home.
Hey, that's why he's called a technician, folks. That's why he's called a technician. And let me just add to that real quick. According to U.S. Code, the definition of a business is any place that includes a transaction of monetary supplies or resources. At the end of the day, that's still a church. If you collected money, I don't care. Like, what are you doing? Unless you do it under some type of nonprofit status. In that case, you wouldn't be. You would be a paid employee under that nonprofit, and of course, preachers don't want that. So, by definition, it's a business. So taxes as such, and it also says in U.S. Code that it's subject to tax. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, people who work for the Lord should not be paid. You do it to glory him. You don't do it for financial gain. That's why you go to work. That's why Paul was a tent maker. That's why Peter, James, and them were fishermen. They had occupations. They worked. These men are not like the apostles of old. They're not like the people of old. They're the complete opposite. Those men worked and then sacrificed their time to go onto the people. They didn't get paid to do it. So you should not be paid to preach the word. You should not be paid to do the work of the Lord. You should do it out of a good conscience towards him. That's what you should do. And if you can't, then sit down and be taught and pray unto God for deliverance.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. MD, it's not gonna be. This show is not gonna be heavy on the subject like recent politics of shows, because we have a lot to cover on the ongoings of what happened just in the last several days. And also, I would like to touch on Vivek, that situation that happened earlier in the month. So we'll see how it goes. But we're gonna go into our next story, and this one's kind of crazy here. Let's check it out.
On the night of July 14th, 2022, officers in Palm Coast, Florida were investigating a noise complaint when they stumbled upon an ex-church leader and pastor Alfonso Joseph, who was 48 years old at the time, and in the back seat of a car with a 16-year-old boy. When officers shined their flashlight in the car, both occupants were seen pulling their pants up. Here's what happened next.
How's it going, sir?
Hey, how are you?
Stepping out of here for me? Shut the door for me.
What you doing, man? You have any weapons on you or anything like that?
No, sir.
You got ID on you?
Yes.
You have your ID on you?
No.
You don't have any ID on you?
No identification.
It's all right, sir. I'll get your name. You step over here.
Go to my car right there.
Okay.
Step over there. Just stand right there. Lean on the car for me. Put your hands on the car. Now I'm just going to pat you down for weapons, okay?
Here, right here. Stand in the car. Stand in the car for me. You have anything on you?
No. Well, I have my phone on.
That's fine. Just leave it there.
Are we being detained?
Yes, that's right now. You're on private property. Oh, you can put your hands on the car. Don't lean on the car. Just put your hands on the car. Put your feet. You have anything on you? No.
My phone.
Just your phone?
Nothing.
No weapons or nothing like that. What's that? Your headphones?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put them back in there.
So do we just have to leave for it?
Yeah, right now I'm gonna get your information first and then we'll figure out from there. Okay.
All right, you go ahead and lean on the car for me. Turn around. Just lean on the car right there. So, what's your name?
Alfonso.
Alfonso. A-L-F-O-N-Z-O.
Yeah.
Last name?
Joseph.
All right, what's your date of birth?
11/6/73.
All right, just stand right there for a second.
What are you guys doing? Obviously, it's kind of obvious. Who's he to you?
Huh?
Who's he to you?
Just a friend, I guess.
So, who's this guy?
A friend of mine.
Okay, how old is he?
18.
Okay.
Do you have a driver's license? No.
No.
You don't have any kind of identification?
No.
Where's he live?
In the L section.
So, what's his name? What's his last name?
I don't know his last name. I can always call him.
Okay. So, what are you guys doing out here?
We was just chilling. That's all.
Just chilling.
It was getting hot in the car, so I just took my shirt off.
Well, when I walked up, you were putting your shorts on.
No, my shorts. Because a lot of times, when my shorts, they get kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like trying to fix them.
Okay.
Because when you sit in the car, it get wet. It sometimes give you a wedge.
Okay. So, well, you see how it looks? I come up, you two are in the back seat.
Right. Because the front seat, the front seat is like far away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just talking, communicating, trying to get to know him, and that was it.
But you see how it looks to me?
I got you.
You guys are in the back.
I got you.
Doing something. Because as soon as we turned our lights on, you started moving around real fast.
Yeah, because, it's a secluded place, and we wasn't expecting, and I understand.
And there's not supposed to be anybody back here.
Oh, no?
No, there's a no trespassing sign over by the entrance over there.
Wow.
How long you been up here?
How long I've been out here?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
And I was just getting ready to drop him off home.
Okay.
Am I going to jail?
No, no one's going to jail. I just told you it was just to be detained because you're on private property, okay? It said no trespassing sign right on the front.
Okay.
Alright, you guys are in no trespassing area, okay? It's not free to go until we figure out what's going on, okay?
Where were you guys coming from?
Oh, we were just coming from his house.
Oh, okay.
Can I put my shirt on because it's mosquitoes?
No, I'd just rather you stay out of the car for right now. Just try and smack them off.
So who is he to you?
Oh, just a friend.
Where'd you meet him?
I met him a couple days ago, and then we wanted to meet up just to get to know him, and that was it. But nothing crazy, you know.
Nothing crazy. So you met him online, you said?
No, well, not online. I met him like we was in Walmart one day, and then.
So you guys just met up in Walmart? How'd you guys just like face to face?
When I met him online in Walmart, then he texted me online.
So how did he get your number?
Who?
He said he texted you. You guys met in Walmart, and then he started texting you a lot.
Yes, online.
Okay, so so you guys were just both shopping at Walmart, and then you guys started talking in Walmart when you guys saw each other.
Right.
Okay.
I asked him a few questions. He was like, he would go to this place, and he was like telling me where he came from, and I was telling him where I came from, and then that was it.
You guys exchanged phone numbers at that point, and okay. And then so what'd you do? Pick him up from his house?
Yeah,
or?
I picked him up from his house because I worked late, so I said, well, maybe just come and talk over here.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And I didn't know it was a no trespassing sign. I knew it used to be a golf course.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was a no trespassing sign because other than that, I wouldn't have been over here.
Yeah. Okay. How old are you?
I'll be 48.
Okay. What were you guys doing?
Huh?
What were you guys doing?
We were just sitting back the seat talking, and I told the cop, I said, I took my shirt off because it was getting hot in the car. And then he says, I was trying to fix something. I said, yeah, I was fixing my shirt because a lot of times when you sweat, your shorts get...
Well, your car's on, isn't it?
Yeah, but the AC is,
Pretty new Toyota.
Yeah, it is pretty new, but sometimes it gets hot, so...
Yeah, well, you guys had your pants down.
I didn't
you don't
have
have to
my
lie.
pants down.
I mean, I kind of figure what's going on.
I didn't have my pants down, though.
No, he did.
He had his pants down?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So you're not gonna tell me what's going on? No.
That was.
If that's what you guys are doing, that's what you guys are going to do.
Right.
At some point.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
You know, he would do it all the time, but you don't need to lie.
Okay.
Y'all know all the crazy stories come out of Florida. I don't know what kind of people we have down here, which is why I hold my head up high and try to be a model citizen in a state where, unfortunately, we have a bunch of weirdos. Now, you all remember the story I did on Pastor Alfonso Joseph out of Palm Coast, Florida. He was the Pentecostal leader that was active on the dating app Grindr. He met an underage male and went to the golf course and was caught in the backseat of his car by Palm Coast officers. Now, let me address this first, the struggle thing. The pastor didn't struggle to get on Grindr. He didn't struggle to drive to a secluded location where he could park his car and get in the back seat of his car. That doesn't sound like a struggle to me. Also, who knows? Maybe he will go through the deliverance processes the church wants him to go through, or maybe he'll go through reparative or conversion therapy and try to change his sexuality. I don't know. Man can do whatever he wants to do when he gets out. All I'm saying is, it's your life. Just be honest with the person you get into a relationship with. Now, this pastor is well connected in the Palm Coast, Florida area within Pentecostal churches. And some people in the Palm Coast area thought this whole thing was just a setup. This was not a setup. This is what your pastor is into. Now, there are some people who have said in past videos that the young male should not have been on an adult app and that the pastor didn't know his age. And I agree that no underage person should be on an adult app or an adult website. However, Pastor Alfonso Joseph lied about how he met the young male. He told the cops that they met at Walmart a week before, but officers caught him in a lie because evidence showed that they met that night on Grindr. Also, the law does not care that you didn't know the person's age. The law is only concerned with the crime that was committed and that you are the adult in the situation and therefore you will be charged. You all be careful out there on these dating apps and dating websites, all right? There's some crazy people out here. And yes, people do lie, and you have to do your due diligence, all right?
All right, there we go. And of course, straight out of Florida, where everything bad happens. So we're gonna go to MD on this one. MD, what do you think here about this story with this preacher in this weird circumstance?
Well, so first and foremost, the person that was narrating the video, he lied. Yeah, he may be charged, but he'll be charged circumstantially, based on the fact that, and they said the dude was 16. Based on the fact that he was on Grindr, he broke the terms and conditions of the site, giving a leeway to that pastor. Like, hey, I got to keep it legal at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But in any event, he a sicko. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I live in Atlanta, bro. Far too often do I see situations like this dealing with preachers. It is what it is. The society that we live in today, we're becoming more lenient toward homosexuality and religion. That's what it is too. I'm gonna let Jeremy Dunbar handle that. In terms of living a double life, so to speak, there has to be advantageous reasons for you to do so. This is one of those advantageous reasons when you're um, one of the elites within a church society, giving you certain power, monetary gain, so on and so forth, to have the exemplary status of being a person built on some type of religiosity. You gotta pay to play in certain aspects in terms of doing so. And at the same time, you gotta mask who you really are. Preachers are some of the best at it. So in that case, what's if we're looking at it from teetering towards certain positions, what's the best case scenario? Is it better to be more lenient, be more acceptable of certain secular opinions within the church, or is it better for me to live a double life in order to individually gain the resources that's available to me based on the status of the religiosity? That's the fight that we deal with as a society. And more often than not, the preacher pimps gonna choose the latter. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Even though, for the most part, even his own congregation, based on how the society views stuff now, will be more lenient, even to the point where they will fight for you when you mess up. See it all the time. So, hey, that's the dilemma that we face. But yeah, that dude was wrong. Like, even I'm assuming he was. I don't know what his charges were, but even then, based on the fact that he met him on Grinder or whatever it was, that young gentleman broke the terms of the website. Just off top. That's your defense right there. But I digress.
Well, it looked like that preacher was trying to break something else besides the website.
I'm on mute, baby.
Jeremy, what do you think about this?
I got a whole lot to say on this one. Oh my Lord, have mercy. You're seeing what God will do when you bring forth, you speak on his name, yet you hypocrite. Because if you go to St. Luke chapter 12, 2-3, he told you what would happen. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. Oh, he's mad at this fella. I can tell you that. And then Acts 5:38 and 39 read, and now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be found even to fight against God. He's not of God. His works are being shown, and the Lord is exposing him. We got a righteous God. He don't care if you claim you love Jesus, if you believe on him. That's why he says, be ye doers of the word and not just hearers only. You got to do the works, not just hypocrite and talk about it. Anybody can run their mouth off and bump their gums, but it takes a real man of God to live up to it and to hold fast to it. And as far as the law, well, God's got the law here too. In 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 8-11. But we know that the law is good, if a man use it lawfully, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, which was committed to my trust. Hey, the law is made for the lawless. You know, you got to face it like the sinner. You ain't no different. God does not hold you higher because you put Jesus in your mouth. No, 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 no. You sin in that manner, and God hates that sin, because when you go to Leviticus 18:22, yeah, you're going to sit here and be a preacher. Well, you obviously are not obedient to his word. Now, being a preacher is the most dangerous place, because a lot of people don't know that if you tell a lie and that person dies with that lie, their blood is on your hands. So Leviticus 18:22 states, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination." That's how the Lord looks at it. That's how the Lord looks at it. And Genesis 3:7, talking about him being shirtless and naked out there. All right. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Even when Adam and Eve's understanding came open, they sewed themselves up clothing. Why? Because to cover up the shame of thy nakedness. So this man's not a preacher, and his works have been manifest by the Lord, and he let those in whom he's condemning expose him. That's how we got a righteous, holy God. He don't care who you are. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Ricardo, what do you think about this story?
Lordy Lord. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with the story. All I can say is, why being the church preaching, doing the most, and then you go ahead behind closed doors and do that? I would rather you take off your religious robe, um, digress yourself, like take yourself out of the whole mix of things and go live your life. I just don't understand this narrative of, okay, but I can be a preacher, but then you can't have your cake and want to eat it too. That doesn't work when it comes to religion and being in the world. It's just like it's give or take one or the other. I just find it sad though, because on one hand I want him to. It's kind of like you have to give or take. It's either, on one hand, I want people who are religious to have that liberation of, being able to do whatever you want to do, but you can't tiptoe in religious aspects and then tiptoe outside of it. It just there's a conflict of interest there. It just doesn't work. So it's either you step down and go live your life, whatever it means that is, and not use the spiritual aspect of it, because then you're taking away from the fact that you're now brainwashing or manipulating the flocks that you have, if that makes sense. So I don't agree with what he's doing. And no matter how many laws, objective wise, you could use to justify how his behavior has been, it still doesn't make sense. Why do all of that? It's like you're copying out. Just step down, sir. Release your robes and go live your life in the alphabet community. Don't then preach behind closed doors, then do that, and you pull up in a secluded dark area in the middle of the night like you're some kind of that's for like people who have. But then again, you know what, everybody have their own kinks, so who am I to tell him how to do or live his life? But sir, no, you can't have your cake and want to eat it too. You can't be in church and then stepping out of church, then preaching to people, then being judgmental, then saying, what I'm saying? It's like the politicians that are like, oh no, those gay people, oh my God, and then they're in the stall somewhere, doing God he knows what with God he knows who. You can't do that. That's just a conflict of interest. So Bishop, whatever your name is, just I mean, I don't even know what else to say, sir. Just step down.
That's what we call hypocriting.
Right, quick question. You kept mentioning conflict of interest, Ricardo. Conflict of interest toward who?
Conflict of interest for his congregation. You know how to do that. probably not in their maturity stage, that's probably confused and whatnot. If I'm gonna go to him for advice and whatnot, he can't be telling me what to do if I'm like an innocent, bystander church congregation that's going, confused as hell about sexuality and whatnot. Who are you to tell me what to do sexual wise when you're tiptoeing out of church? That doesn't make sense. You might as well.
Well, how do you know that's what he's preaching though?
I mean, but you have a conversation. So that's the purpose of why you're, being. It's kind of like you telling me, oh, you should not have sex, but then you're doing it. That's defeating the purpose. Why are you confusing the message? Just step down, go live your life in whatever means or forms you want to do it, but don't confuse the church people or innocent bystanders in the process. That's just dead ass wrong. I'm sorry.
I mean, I disagree. I disagree with that based on the fact that first we got religious freedom in this country. Hell, you can make it up as you go if you want to, like that.
Separation of church and state, though. I'm sorry, you can't do.
I ain't hear what you said, Ricardo. You were breaking up. I guess that's on my end.
No, I would say there's a separation of church and state. The two should never mix. They can't mix together. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I think that according to Scripture, it says the law is made for the lawless. So if he's acting lawless, then it's justified that he gets what he gets. I mean, I agree with the man being held accountable. He's no different. Just because he says he has bishop on his name don't mean nothing.
Yeah, I agree with that point. But what I'm saying is, like the whole notion of having your cake and eat it too. Hell, that's religion in the United States. Everybody got their cake and eating it. You know what I'm saying? So, from that aspect, I disagree, like wholeheartedly. Because I mean, hell, that's the vast majority of religious institutions here in this country. Like that's what they do. Like literally, they got their cake, meaning that they can set the rules, they can set the standard of how they want their doctrine to be based off religious freedom. Plus, they can do whatever the hell they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And
We get what you're doing, MD, but at the same time, who's holding them accountable? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm for one. I'm always, and you as long as y'all have known me for, I've stated this because even in this conversation, I'm gonna put it into place. If you're secular or whatnot, why not legalize prostitution? That at this particular stage, everybody wants that. It's in your vein. You're human. You're going to have urges at some point. What I'm saying is, why not step aside and move out of the way? Let someone who is devoted, that really is religious, devout, pious in the Christian faith, do the job. Why are you then doing the job on the pulpit and then stating otherwise? Like what you're doing.
you know the answer to that, though, Ricardo. You know the answer. Come on, like when you see that gold plate being passed around 4-5 times every Sunday, you'll question it too.
And he comes off with the tongue. He come a shapada.
Yeah.
If y'all know me well, like I could Blanket, where's your two avatars if I'm confused by that. But yeah, I question the Christian faith when it comes to certain things. You could call me controversial. I was that type of kid or young person in church that questioned every aspect of Christianity. I let my pastor have it every now and then. How are you going to preach to me about sex, sir, and you doing it at home? How are you going to do all that? I let him have it, and it was like, oh, you're one of them people. You're damn right I am. I'm going to question every aspect. Did Jesus? Do you think that Jesus would have, if he was in a fleshly form, would he not have stepped out and do stuff that human beings would have been doing? And they couldn't answer the question because it's always, that we have to do the Christian thing of covering the faith. And we were talking about this, the whole thing about Mary being a virgin and, conceiving at 14. Why is the Christian church hiding behind that whole smoke and mirror thing? We all know she was young. So I question all of these things. Now, a regular person probably wouldn't because they're like, oh, it's blasphemous and whatnot. No, it's not. You as a human being have to question things because there's certain things that are written and they're written, and then you're going, oh, okay, well, everything is believable. Not everything is going to be believable in the frame of mind of how we think. Whether it be secular wise, whether we think in scientific wise, whether we think it's rational wise, we all have different opinions and thought processes. So not everything is going to be seeming believable to everybody. But what I'm just construing or making it clear is he should have just stepped aside. The minute you knew you were going to be going on Grindr, which if most people don't know what that is a gay sex hookup site, just like you'd have had like Ashley Madison or whatnot. But the alphabet community, in their heyday, thought it's one of them things where they needed to have to. If the heterosexual people could do it, we should be able to do it too. So that's why they had the app. Why is it that you're going on the app to solicit sex, sir, when you could have easily gotten that from, let me just stop. Let me stop while I'm at it. I'm going to stop.
No, you got a valid point there. You got to hold their feet to the fire. If we can hold politicians and everyone else to the feet to the fire, we can hold these preachers that are preaching the word and not living up to what they're preaching to the fire. They're no different. And that's what I will say. If we
according to law, they are different, though. According to the law, they are different. They vastly different.
What I'm saying is, if we as the people can question and hold them accountable for what the wrongdoings that they're doing, talking about politicians and whatever, your boss, whatever the case may be, whoever is in the error, if we can hold them accountable, who is the preacher? The preacher is nothing but dust like everyone else. So he's no greater. So he should be held accountable just the same. If not, he's held accountable worse by God, but he should get what he deserves. At the end of the day, whatever the law decides to do, he's warranted that. And I will agree, because he is no different as far as being punished. He's no different. He is no different than you and I. He should be held to the same accountability. Now, we understand there's more on his plate. There may be more responsibilities, wherever the case may be, but still does not condone the wrong that he did. And I don't care. I'm very hard on them, because they're supposed to set an example. And when they're not setting the example, I don't care who they are. They need to be held accountable. If I were the one to do that, I should be held accountable. And they should put my feet to the fire, because I am no different. That's how I feel about it as a whole.
Well, I don't
God
disagree
don't
with
respect
that.
a person.
Trevor said, what if it was a girl? Does it matter more or less, or even out?
It's the same. Well, it's not the same. Well, it depends on what you're. So if you're looking in the eyes of God, it's worse because it's abomination, but it's still horrific.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted right there.
So if it's still a heinous act regardless, because this man is still doing that which is unlawful, that which is wicked. But now we're talking about the eyes of God. We're not talking about the eyes of man. This is much different, because God says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. So when we lean towards the scriptures, because this is what it is, it's a pastor. He's doing abomination, yet he's supposed to preach an unadulterated gospel. How is that even right?
And that's my issue. You're not able to dictate the perception of what his congregation sees. That's what I'm saying. Based on religious freedom, they teach the gospel how they see fit. Now, if you don't agree with that, or you then turn around and saying there needs to be some type of apostolic authority, that will be my next question.
So there is actually, whether or not, so this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to go to scripture to prove it in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, 13-5. Now, this is the way the Lord has it set up. Let's make no mistake about it. It says, verse 13 says, is Christ divided? There's a question. Of course he's not divided. Was Paul crucified for you? Or ye baptized in the name of Paul? I thank God that I baptized none of you but Crispus and Gaius, lest any of you should say that I had baptized in mine own name. So Christ is not divided. So the division comes among the people. Christ's message has never changed. It's when you come up with your own interpretation of it. This is why I harp
So
on being
Christ
led
is
by
the
the
authority
Spirit.
then, correct? So Christ is the
And
authority.
what should happen, it tells you in 1 Corinthians 5 and 13,
Uh-huh.
it says, we'll go to verse 12. For what have I to do to judge them also that are without? Do not ye judge them that are within? But them that are without God judgeth. Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person. There it is.
Okay. So again, I asked the question again. Is Christ the authority is what I'm asking you.
Of course he is. His word is law.
Okay. Okay, cool. Where is the central offices of Christ where everybody can go and get, or what the ethical procedure is dealing with a situation like this?
Well, you have to hear the whole matter first, right? Because even the scripture says, hear the whole matter of it before you speak, right? Hear the whole matter, and then you go based upon scripture what you should do. If the man is in the wrong, now if he repents, he should sit down regardless, because he should not be a teacher. He should be sat down at the least, and the laws of the land, because don't forget, it says to obey laws and magistrates. Now, this is a violation of the law, and it does not violate the law of God. So therefore, the law should be able to do what it wants for the man. Now, he is able...
I agree with that. I agree with that. Here's the thing, though, and I'm finna shock Trevor. I don't believe that he broke the law.
He did.
And what law did he break besides trespassing? What law did he break?
He was with a 16-year-old, point blank period.
Correct. And he was indecent in public.
I agree with that. Well, no, he wasn't. Your car is your person, so no, he wasn't indecent. So I agree. He was with a 16-year-old. Heinous act. Who's to prove that? The state, right?
Yep.
How are they going to prove that? Based
By
on
getting
what
the
we know,
age of the gentleman that was in the car.
based on what we know of how they met, how are they going to prove it?
They prove it by saying, "Sir, young man, how old are you?" When they prove how old he is via the birth certificate, whatever the case, you can find that out.
He's 5. Yeah, we all know he's 16.
No, I get what
How is the defense going to prove that he was 16?
the condom MD. If there's
No, come on, man. We talking legal terms, Ricardo. By the consent, of how they met, he had all intents and purposes of believing that he was 18. Why? Because he had to do the consent on the website, saying, and we all go ahead.
No, that's a good point, MD. That is a good point right there. That is a legit point.
When you go on the website, it clearly says, blah, 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 this and that. You understand all of this, 18 years or older.
Yeah, MD's right on that one.
Okay, legal term, yeah. Okay, you're right. There you go. I get it. Yeah.
1 second. We got Mr. Straight Talk on the panel. What's up, Trevor?
Straight Talk has to say.
Oh boy! So now you guys are finally getting to what I wanted to ask. I asked a question in the chat. And shout out to Daniel Price. Daniel, come by Thursday if you into this Bible stuff. We got a good debate for you. I asked the question, what role does the kid play in this? And now you finally brought it up. MD is 1,000,000% right. He had to agree to all the terms. So this guy is going to walk, first of all. Secondly, they couldn't prove that anything was being done. So, okay, we're looking at it and we know what they were doing, but you can't prove it because they were in the vehicle. And unless the cops saw any fellatio or anything going on, it's all hearsay. So you can't prove it. I'm not saying that it's not a disgusting act because we know exactly what they were doing. But 16-year-old be damned, that guy had to sign up on that website giving some type of birthday and stuff like that. Now, some dog of a lawyer may try to fight it to the end, but he'll lose. If there's any attorney worth their salt, they're going to be like, hey, judge, let's throw this out because he literally bucked the system signing up on an app that he wasn't even old enough to sign up on. How was my client supposed to know? And Lord, please don't make it seem like I'm defending this pastor because I'm gonna get to him soon. Yeah, I'm gonna get to him soon. But I had to be very fair on this channel And right now, God, I hate that I'm agreeing with MD. But right now, the letter of the law is gonna make this guy walk if any charges even brought up on him. Before I came on here, I seen in Florida that there's something called a Romeo and Juliet law. I had no idea about that. That's why I love this show. It makes me go look for stuff. So there's a law called the Romeo and Juliet law, which allows consent, sexual consent of somebody under the age of 18, but it has to be with somebody that's only between the ages of 18 and 23. So this guy still wouldn't fall in it because he's 48. He's like 48 according to him. But the fact that the cop did, and you see what the cop was doing, that's why they tell you when you're talking to police, just shut up. Don't answer no questions. The cop was asking him, hey, bro, what you doing? Every time, hey, a fool going to tell on himself if you let him keep talking. Oh, God, my pants was giving me a wedgie. It was hot. The cop said, oh, but you got a brand new car. Your AC don't work? Oh, yeah, it worked, but it's hot. So the cop is like literally just keep asking him questions to get him to keep talking. This guy gonna walk. But the last thing I'm gonna say on this, I put in the chat also, and Venkat brought it up. What if this was a girl? And I asked that question because I knew what Jeremy was gonna say. I knew it. God. So Jeremy said it's still bad, but it wouldn't be as bad. Because he's just thinking of the fact, like, man, oh man, in God's eyes, it's an abomination. This goes to what we've been talking about all week, Ricardo, about the religion and how it. And they say I'm misogynist, so forgive me if I'm defending women, but the misogyny of the of the Bible and just religious texts, period, of how it's okay to do stuff with women. I'm gonna give you a scripture for it. Don't worry about it, because you know I am. Let's go to Book of Genesis. I don't remember exactly where, but let's talk about Lot. You know, you got the two angels that are going to Lot's house, and the men there, old men, young men, dirty men, they wanting to have their way with the angels. Yep. And Lot basically said, hey, don't do anything to these guys. If you want to just get yourself off, I got 2 daughters that's never been touched. So don't do anything to the 2 men, but have your filthy way with the daughter. And that's what I be talking about. I'm done. That's just what I be talking about.
He said, "Don't
crazy.
do so wickedly, bro. Don't do so wickedly, brothers. I have 2 daughters."
He was gonna give his daughters in place of the men that they wanted to grape. You can't spin it no other way, Jeremy. You cannot.
He's not raping them. They're not raping them.
They were gonna do it to the men, Jeremy.
They were gonna rape the men. Yes.
Jeremy, no, but
it's grape. Grape.
So what were they gonna do to the women? Make passionate love to them?
So
they were going to play Monopoly.
Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way.
They were going to plunge.
He knew that they weren't going to do it to them, but he was trying to deter the men from committing the act. He knew they weren't going to do it because they had no concern for the women. They were not attracted to the women, nor did they want.
He's good. I told y'all. He's good. Jerry good.
So you have to look at it that way, because I know you immediately go to where, they're going to rape you. You jump to, it does not say that, because they wanted to know the men. It didn't say they wanted to know the women. It said they wanted to know the men, which means they had an inordinate affection, which means that they cared nothing for the woman as far as sexually in that manner, because they specifically called out the men, knowing Lot's daughters were in there.
That's crazy.
They did not want women. They
didn't. The interpretation.
So they came down to earth switching already.
Yeah.
I
said the men wanted the angels. I didn't say that the angels wanted the men.
Hey, I'm gone, fellas, man. Grace, I wanted to get Jeremy riled up. Hey, they trained him good, but Jeremy trained really good. I got to give you that, boy. You trained really, really good.
You have to pay attention to the language of the scriptures.
We got to pay attention to the language, huh? Okay, I want you to remember that. I want you to remember
I
that
know
whenever
the
everybody comes
language
up
of the
and tell
scriptures.
you about
Yes,
context,
I'm not talking
whenever
different
anybody brings up
languages that I don't
context,
speak, Trevor. Not languages that I don't speak, because God's not going to give you something in a language you don't speak.
I'm talking
I know
about
where you're going with that, Trev.
contextual. I'm not talking about
Of course.
linguistics. I'm talking about
Oh, of
context.
course. Of
Context.
course. Of course.
Context. How would this man offered his daughters, and now you telling me he just did it because he knew they weren't going to want him? Come on, man.
Because
Come
what
on.
did
Come
they
on.
want? What did they want?
Come on, man.
Trevor, what did they want?
They wanted the two angels.
They wanted
Man,
men.
but
They wanted men, which tells you that's what they were attracted to. So therefore, they wouldn't have done it anyways. He was trying to tell them not to do so wickedly, because he was telling them that it was an evil act to desire the same flesh.
But it's heathen, isn't it, Jeremy? So it would have. What we're trying to say is that what I got from the interpretation when I was growing up in the Bible was that it was going to be grape. So I guess you could see a 6 and I could see a 9. Doesn't mean that we're wrong, but the interpretation of what you're saying is completely different from what I got when I was going in church or was studying church. I got the grape mentality of that. That was what I remember it sounded, and it was implicitly implied at. Even when I asked my pastor, that's what he said it was leading to. So yeah, at the same length of breath, it's kind of like I get what you're saying in terms of the languages, but it couldn't be any more clear and concise than how we're interpreted to be at this particular point. It was just it's either that, give or take. It is what it was. So yeah,
Well, if you look at, like I said, if you go back and read the verse yourself and read it slowly, and you will see that they wanted the men. Now, if you go to a gay man, is he going to want a woman? If you offered him a woman, would he sleep with a woman? No, he's not attracted to them.
So why do it if you didn't? If
that
you knew,
I mean,
why offer them if you knew that that they weren't going
He
to want
was
them?
telling them that the deed that they were doing was evil. If you listen, he says,
Nah,
don't
Jeremy.
do so wickedly.
God, I want to say something. So I can't do it. I just can't.
All right, so we got to move on to these
Yes,
main
sir.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
stories we got.
hey, shout out to Eddie Israel real quick.
Yes.
But I'm about to go. Jeremy, me and you gonna meet on the 14th. Just come prepared. All
You
right,
mean the
fellas.
13th?
Whatever that Thursday is, 13, 14, one of them.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be, I'm not supposed to be debating or dialing. I'm just
No.
supposed to be telling.
No. We gonna have a conversation, but
All right.
me and you had to get contentious in there. You know that.
You know
All
what? You can have that.
All right.
All right, let's.
All right, so
All right, fellas.
we got to get into the political news because there's a lot. There's a lot we missed. So we're just we're obviously not gonna hit everything that's going on. There's a lot of things we should be covering, but we won't. But we do have to, at the very least, cover some of these topics that's going. So let's go into what's going on in political news. So MD MD told me on Saturday night in the chat, in the group chat, about Trump getting booed. So I said, "Oh yeah, I saw that like a day or two ago." And he was like, "Nah, they're getting booed like live right now." And I'm like, "What? I already saw him get booed." So we're gonna go into that. So this first part I want to show, it's gonna lead up to like Trump's history of being booed and the recent situation that happened before he got booed on stage. and then we'll be back with the other with his other speech, and we'll analyze that with the panel. So let's go into this first video.
And we need absolutely every single state in order to win this thing. Let me step aside. Let's turn our attention to the stage.
Running a little late. Let's be honest. Appreciate everybody hanging with us. This program is going to start, and it's going to start not too long from now. I'm out of t-shirts, though.
That was a crowd of angry MAGA supporters booing after Donald Trump was 2.5 hours late for his speech at the NRA's annual convention in Dallas, Texas. The NRA's official Twitter account put out a promotional tweet last night where they said, "Watch it live at 2 p.m. Central Time." That is when Donald Trump was slated to speak, but he did not show up on stage until 4:30 p.m. Central Time, causing the crowd to boo. And it has been a brutal week for Donald Trump. He gave a speech in St. Paul, Minnesota last night where he was slurring throughout the entire speech. He looked incredibly weak and feeble. He leaned on his podium too hard and almost fell over, and today was just the cherry on top. He has no respect for the people that support him, and he has a habit of wasting their time. And this isn't the first time he's been booed. He was booed back in February at SneakerCon. Watch this.
Wow, a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion in this room. Thank you. Thank you. So the really nice thing is we have lines, and I want to thank Chase and I want to thank Alan. But
and here's another clip of Donald Trump getting booed by his own supporters in South Carolina.
When I'm in trouble on the left, I call up Lindsey Graham, and he straightens it out so fast. And I'll tell you, no, remember. I love him. He's a good man.
And here's one more clip of Donald Trump getting booed by his own crowd in Alabama after he recommended that they take the vaccine. And I know this one especially stung because his administration was the one that created Operation Warp Speed and fast-tracked the COVID vaccine, but he can't even brag about it because his supporters are all against modern medicine for some reason.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms, but I happen to take the vaccine.
And today, Donald Trump walked on stage to an angry crowd and immediately began complaining about how President Biden challenged him to a round of golf. Only last night he said that he had won 29 golf championships, and today that number was inflated to 31.
Okay, I'm a very good golfer. I really am. Won 29 club championships. That's a lot, 29 club championships. And he can't play. And he said the other day, it's all disinformation. I played golf for a long time. I won a lot of golf. 31 club championships, can you believe it? And he challenged me to a golf.
He is genuinely mad that President Biden challenged him to a round of golf, but Donald Trump then began to do that weird thing again. I don't know why he does this.
Mom, I don't know, Mom. This is a heavy sucker. Oh, Mom, I can't do it. Boom.
I'd be happy if I never saw Donald Trump do that again, but shortly after his weird moans last night, he almost fell after leaning his full body weight on the podium. He then blamed it on the event contractors, calling them crappy.
But Americans are not struggling. You know, this is the worst platform. Who put this stage up here? This is the worst. The frickin' place is falling down. I notice it keeps tilting further left. Like too many other things. What a crappy contractor this was.
This prompted Debbie Williams on Twitter to say, "You get what you don't pay for," referring to the fact that Donald Trump said he won't pay the contractors for that event. He has a long history of not paying contractors, not paying bills. He has a history of walking into restaurants and saying food for everyone and then leaving before he pays.
Many hours later.
Historically, I could see that the Libertarian Party has in America been more aligned with the Republican Party than it has with the Democratic Party, but there doesn't seem very much about Donald Trump's agenda that is libertarian. I mean, you've got states more involved in women's health issues. You've got a rejection of the notion that there should be deficit reduction. I mean, he just doesn't seem to be interested in this. His policies going forward are going to be more interventionist, not less interventionist.
Donald Trump is anti-libertarian. And when I was chairman of the Libertarian National Committee during the George Floyd unrest, during Donald Trump's first term and probably only term, I put out a strong statement saying Donald Trump has nothing to do with libertarianism. His type of authoritarian, right-wing control of your body, control of your life is everything we stand against. And that's why, to be honest, I want to share something with you. This is the first time in 24 years that I have not been a delegate to my own party's convention because the Credentials Committee and the people who took over do not want a real libertarian party. They want to kneecap the party and knock us out of the race and basically force us to have a Trump rally. And I think that this weekend you'll see the Civil War will end and we will be victorious and the Libertarian Party will go back to being a real political party and Donald Trump will get the reception that he so richly deserves.
Opening night.
Microphone number 3, question of privilege. Madam Chair, delegate from Connecticut, Dan Reel, I have a time-sensitive motion that pertains to RFK and Donald Trump's speaking time, and the motion was submitted hours in advance in writing, and we have filibustered our way out of avoiding a motion co-sponsored by 43 delegates that everyone wants to hear and debate.
Mr. Dosbach.
Oh my God. Point of order.
Just like your point of order is not a point of order. Is that Mr. Reel?
Yes, it is.
It's not a point of order, and I'm going to continue with.
You're going to alienate 43 co-sponsoring delegates.
You're going to.
The media sees you doing it right now.
Mr. Dosbach? No,
yes.
Because the vote, it's 29 people who.
Ms. McGardle. I'd like to propose that we go tell Donald Trump to go fuck himself.
Here, here.
Yes.
Standing ovation for that.
We are a libertarian convention looking to nominate libertarians. We do not need to give that time to non-libertarians.
This is not a GOP cuckolding convention.
I move to vacate the chair.
Wow. Why do you want to vacate the chair?
Madam Chair, point of order, Mr. Chair.
The problem she cannot solve.
Madam Chair, point of order.
We are still on Mr. Starr's motion.
The next day, later.
I'm speaking to you as a libertarian at my own core. I have gotten to know Donald Trump over the course of the last several years and the last several months. And you're going to hear from him tomorrow night. And the question is, do you want to influence the next administration or don't you? So he's speaking here tomorrow night, right? You guys invited him. He's coming here tomorrow. Are you going to agree with him on 100% of what he says? Nope. Do I agree with 100% of his policy positions? No. Okay. But do I believe that he is the best chairman? Who's going to be the president? Is he going to be the Democratic nominee or the Republican nominee? I think Donald Trump is unambiguously. I mean, come on. Look, I invite you to dream on Aerosmith. We got to play the Aerosmith, right? I mean, I'm being honest here.
All right. So there's the video there chronicling Trump's recent problems with the crowds that he's been in front of. But with MD, that's what I was talking about, that last piece where they were pretty much saying F Donald Trump and booing him. I thought that's what you were referencing. Have you seen that video, MD?
Yeah, I seen. Yeah, they had the convention the whole weekend. It started Thursday or Friday, and ended on Sunday. So they had the convention all weekend. I seen the Vivek video, and that's the second time in as many weeks that he's been like downplayed. You know what I'm saying? Vivek ought to just go home and get in the bed in the fetal position. He's done. It's a wrap for him.
Yeah, because you see those guys, they're like, 43 of us are not going to be, ignored. They're just like yelling at him. So I really thought that's what you were talking about. So then
No.
telling me it's live, it was happening. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here? So let's take a look at Trump on stage dealing with the libertarians.
24 hours later.
A lot of people ask why I came to speak at this Libertarian convention, and it's an interesting question, isn't it? But we're gonna have a lot of fun. Well, in the last year, I've been indicted by the government on 91 different things. So, if I wasn't a libertarian before, I sure as hell am a libertarian now. And unlike Joe Biden, I don't throw people in jail for disagreeing with me. I don't do that. And I am truly honored to be invited here tonight.
He may have been invited, but it was clear Donald Trump wasn't welcome by everyone at the Libertarian National Convention Saturday.
Now I think you should nominate me or at least vote for me, and we should win together.
As Trump sought support, he faced boos and jeers, but struck back, too.
Only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years.
The Libertarian Party believes in limited government and more individual freedoms, values Trump has championed, but some libertarians distrust Trump over his COVID vaccine policies and adding to the national debt.
He's going to say anything he can to try to get more votes and push more people in his direction.
We had peace through strength. No wars other than the complete and total destruction of ISIS. And DeRoy ended by saying...
Unlike the supporting MAGA crowds he regularly encounters at his campaign rallies, Donald Trump faced several detractors at Saturday's Libertarian Party National Convention. Booing was heard when the Republican presidential candidate mentioned an article written by political commentator DeRoy Murdoch ahead of Trump's address.
DeRoy wrote, Donald J. Trump will address the Libertarian Party at its national convention on Saturday. The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win.
Those attending did clap and cheer when Trump listed some of his priorities should voters approve of his return to the White House.
On education, we will cut federal funding for any school pushing Marxist and communist race and gender theories on our children. We will keep men out of women's sports. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And by the way, why isn't Joe Biden here speaking to you tonight? You know why? Why isn't he? Because he can't put two sentences together. That's why he's not here.
President Joe Biden, who is also bidding to get re-elected, addressed a different crowd on Saturday. Graduates of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, New York.
There's never been a time in history when we've asked our military to do so many different things in so many different places around the world, all at the same time.
While stressing that American soldiers will be kept off the battlefield, Biden emphasized the U.S. support for Ukraine. Furthermore, he talked about the role of the U.S. military in defending Israel from recent Iranian drone attacks and the work being done to facilitate humanitarian assistance into Gaza. The graduating cadets were also encouraged to, quote, hold fast to the values they learned at West Point.
But ideas need defenders to make them real. That's what you, the class of 2024, are all about. Defenders of freedom, champions of liberty, guardians, and I mean this, guardians of American democracy.
The fact is, we should not be fighting each other. If Joe Biden gets back in, there will be no more liberty for anyone in our country. Combined with us in a partnership, we're asking that of the libertarians. We must work together. Combine with us. You have to combine with us. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. Today's radical left Democrat Party is not a Democrat Party of years ago, which still wanted big government, but at least believed in tolerance and free speech. Joe Biden's radical left Democrat Party is a fascist movement that wants to throw you in jail. If you post a meme they don't like, they want to throw you in jail if you do something that isn't quite to their liking. What you're witnessing under Biden is a toxic fusion of the Marxist left, the deep state, the military-industrial complex, the government security and surveillance services, and their partners, all merging together into a hideous perversion of the American system. And that's exactly what it is. The fact is that Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. My mission is to liberate our nation from these fascist frauds and to rescue our democracy, to restore our republic, and to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House so that America can be a free nation once again. He's the worst in history. The Biden regime censors its critics, spies on its opposition, takes away the bank accounts of U.S. citizens as an extra form of punishment, persecutes Christians and patriotic parents, and is currently trying to put the leading candidate for president in jail. That happens to be me. While imposing a strict gag order in order to keep me from talking about their crimes and their unconstitutional acts. They want to get rid of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, due process, the right to a fair trial, and the right to counsel, all the while pushing wealth confiscation and waging endless and unnecessary wars all over the globe. Anyone can talk about defending freedom, but I've actually put everything on the line to resist these despots and these stuff. And I stand before you tonight as your best hope of defeating the weaponized Biden and the very evil regime that his people, because it's probably not him because he doesn't know where the hell he is, but that his people are pursuing. You can make the difference. The Libertarian Party can make a big difference. The Libertarian Party can make a big difference. Together we can make America freer than ever before for citizens of all backgrounds and all walks of life. We can unleash new hope, optimism, and energy. We can release limited government so that the people can have an unlimited future. United, we will be unstoppable. If we unite, we are unstoppable. I will be a true friend to libertarians in the White House. And I am proud to be the only president in 70 years who started no new wars. God bless you.
24 hours later.
In a major humiliation for Donald Trump, the Libertarian Party has just had its first round of voting to determine who its nominee would be. I should remind you that Donald Trump was there just yesterday making his case to the attendees and delegates, and when the dust settled, Donald Trump took in, and I hope you're sitting down for this, 6 votes. That's right, 6 entire votes, which is incidentally 10 votes less than a guy named Toad. He did, however, manage to beat out Stormy Daniels, but only by 5 votes. So if you're in the Libertarian Party, get ready for Donald Trump to accuse you of collusion with Venezuela's fallen president, Hugo Chavez. Now, Trump's poor showing is probably why one delegate then stood up and asked this.
Please state your name.
Jeff Coleman, Missouri delegate, first time, long time, with a request for information.
Thank you.
Did this body grab a former president by the pussy last night
Sit down. It's completely out of order. No.
Yeah, not great if you're Donald Trump. Writing, the reason I didn't file paperwork for the Libertarian nomination, which I would have absolutely gotten if I wanted it, as everyone could tell by the enthusiasm of the crowd last night, was the fact that as the Republican nominee, I am not allowed to have the nomination of another party. And he's right that he couldn't be the nominee for two parties, but that's not why he lost. He lost because the attendees and delegates didn't like him.
All right, so there we go. MD, what did you think of Trump's libertarian clash?
So yeah, I said it last night. I'm gonna say it again here. I believe this was the best and worst Trump speech of this election cycle. Point blank. Period. What he was able to do, or the lack thereof, versus what the libertarians were able to do was astounding to me. In the sense that he was able to like just confidently and arrogantly outright lie to a whole group of people, and that's what he did. He did it flawlessly. I ain't gonna sit here and like say he didn't. He did it flawlessly. But for everything that the libertarians stand on, he said, slivers of what they wanted to hear, and at the same time he demeaned them, which is, hey, only Trump can do something like that. To tell them that, hey, look, vote for me or continue to get 3%. Like, hey, man, Trump might be heel of the year. Heel of the year is what he might be, for him to say that. Now, so here's the thing, and I failed to mention this last night. So the same way that you have dissension in the Republican Party, you also have it in the Libertarian Party. So the lady that was up there, that was the chairman, she's part of what they call the Mises Caucus. The Mises Caucus is like the right wing, wing, I guess the right wing of the Libertarian Party. They were the ones that actually invited Trump to the conference. They a lot of their policy aligned with extreme right wing policy. That's what it was. That's the part that they don't tell you about with the Mises Caucus. Mainstream libertarians not going for none of that. A couple of things that he said that stood out to me, and again I mentioned this last night. First of all, he talked about commuting the sentence of that guy Ross Ulbricht, which everybody had to sign talking about free Ross. They were talking about Ross Ulbricht. This dude was a dark web pirate selling drugs, murder for hire, and body parts and organs on the dark web. This is why I say, in no way, shape, or form can I rock with the Libertarian Party. I just can't do it. Do I have some libertarian views? Yeah. But I would never in my life associate myself with they are crazy. I said they the ECW of politics is what they are. They're just all over the place. I can't do it. So some of these stances are so extreme where it just don't make any sense. Ross Ulbricht was a scumbag. That's what he was. And for them to think that his rights are being violated some type of way is baffling to me. You know what I'm saying? But again, a lot of them people think that if you own a private company, you should be able to discriminate. Hell, some of them are so extreme as to go and say slavery because we would consider property was okay. You know what I'm saying? These are the people that you're dealing with. It's hard to facilitate a conversation between Trump and the Libertarians when both of them are extreme in their own right. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that he said, he talked about the border, and you can't be what did he say? Oh, you can't have free trade if your border's not open. Trump is so stupid that he don't even understand the principles of libertarianism. Libertarians believe we should be able to go wherever the hell we want to go. There shouldn't be no borders at all. You know what I'm saying? So that lets you know Trump just speaking at the end of the day. He's just talking outside his neck. He's a populist. He doesn't understand the people in which he's speaking with, unless they're a part of the cult. That's just what it is. So, that's my take on it. It was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining. And like I said, I give him kudos on the simple fact that he had the balls enough to go up there and do it. And do it eloquently, might I add. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he did it, but it seems like to me, it for someone that is we're being forced down our throat that the polling says, oh, he's gonna win and he has the lead and all of this and blah blah blah. But you see this guy hustling to try to pick up any little vote, every little vote that he could find. And then when you dig into the numbers and you look at these polls, this so-called lead is usually by 1 or by 2. At the most I've ever seen is 4. And I haven't seen it by 4 in months. So
Right.
that's panicking him that he's pandering to blacks, pandering to Latinos, but mainly black. I mean, he went on a blackity black tour the last several months. And now he's gone to the doorsteps of libertarians. And these are all areas that, quite frankly, he doesn't like to really deal with. Now, if he's dealing with that, that means there's something he's trying to make up for. Because he loves his regular conditioned crowd that just goes along with everything he says. But now he's even trying to ramp that down, and he's showing up in places like circuses and parades and things that already have a built-in crowd because it costs too much for those rallies that he's doing. So there's money in question. There's lack of enthusiasm by his own followers, which there's a video. I'm going to debut a new segment here. When the MAGA turns, we'll get into that in a moment. And it just signals that there's something awry here. So him battling that crowd, I don't think it was like, I'm so tough, I can do anything to show that I am strong enough of a politician to deal with circumstances that are not in my favor. It's less about that and more about, oh my God, my polling is really showing this weakness, that weakness, that weakness. And he is doing something that I don't think he really wants to do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that aspect of it. I was just saying that he had the nuts enough to even like do it and take into consideration. To your point, even with those 2 percentage points with the polls, a lot of times it's like 6% margin of error. So that's why I don't put much stock in the polls because that's not going to tell you nothing based on the limited amount of poll data that they have based on the people that they poll. So no, I never get into the polls in that aspect. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how the MAGA maniacs deal with not only Trump's stretch going down the line, but what's going on with a lot of these congressional seats that they need to defend or pick up. You know what I'm saying? And what the story says now is that they ain't doing so good. So again, are we looking at a situation where a lot of the MAGA maniacs are putting so much stock in the federal election to the point where they're not the federal election, but the presidential election to the point where they're misguided when it comes to the congressional seats that they need to have in order to make these policies come into fruition. That's the real gauge in which I see this whole thing. So you're absolutely right in that aspect.
Okay. All right. Thank you, MD. Ricardo, what do you think of the situation here with Trump?
Yeah. What can we not say? I mean, it was just very interesting seeing the whole dynamics unfold. At one point, I think I was brought into the fray of what was transpiring because I was at work, and all of a sudden I just remember people online on Twitter feeds and whatnot were just going in, like, there's booing going on and whatnot. And then I think MD brought it to my attention as well. It's at this point, it's just screaming of desperation on Donald Trump's part. I don't know where else he could clamor his support systems from at this point, because I think it's and I've said this, I think both candidates face a very harsh upheaval going forward. On one hand, you have Biden with this whole situation with Israel, and no matter how much he pushes the narrative of is Israel is the victim here, it's not going to work. It's just I think in the age of which we live in, where information is so privy to us at the second of breaking news, we could see everything in real time. And if you don't believe me, remember when Osama bin Laden was killed, how quick that came out. Like, everybody was just like, wait, what's going on? And it was just like in a flash. Obama came out and did his whole speech and it was done. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we are at an age or a point in time where everything is just accessible. It's not in the 90s where you could say Desert Storm rolled in or whatnot and you could manipulate the stories. It's just not going to work. So on one hand, Uncle Joe is a problem because he has the whole, Israeli thing going on, and he's trying to spin a narrative, it won't work. And on the other hand, you have Donald Trump with his consistent line, and it's baffling that he will even go on stage and even still try to do the line, and it just doesn't work in his favor. We have too much people that are smarter than you even give them credit for. But I digress. The Megamaniacs, I'm waiting to see when they're going to turn. I don't know if we're going to see it just yet, but I know it's coming up. At some point in time, he's going to overpromise, and I just don't think the overpromising is going to work with the group because, again, there's only so much they could put up with before they go, all right, well, I equate it to like Scar in Lion King when, he said, oh, those damn hyenas in it, it was their fault. And they end up turning on him. I wouldn't be surprised that will come at some point in time, but not now. It's too early. Again, I grabbed my popcorn. It's already heated. I already grabbed the popcorn. It's heated. It just need the butter on it. And I'm just going to start eating bits and pieces out of it. That's the stage that we had. I'm surprised Vac hadn't put up the
Sorry about that, Ricardo. I was a little late on that one.
But yeah, it's sad. And MD, the Libertarian Party is really like cuckoo crazy. I didn't realize how crazy they were because I was going by the old template of what they used to be, but they're really staunchly like nuts. Like the things that they even support at this point in time, I'm like, I might have libertarian views, but the party I do not support. It's just, y'all are just crazy. Like and the two hand in hand, DT and them, it just wouldn't have worked. It's like mixing oil with water. It wouldn't have worked in either case. But again, he tried to spin the narrative of, oh, if they wanted to pick me, no, sir, they didn't want you, period. They literally told you ahead of time, ahead of schedule that they weren't going to pick you. So I don't know why you even went to begin with. It's just like, it's dumb. But desperate times calls for desperation. He's really, really desperate. I also want to echo MD's sentiments. I do not trust the polls. I haven't trusted the polls since the whole Hillary and Donald Trump fiasco where they were all going ham on, she's going to hit the glass ceiling. And as the night progressed, we were like, well, wait a minute. The polls were saying one thing, but then the results are showing another. What is going on here? Are we seeing the right thing? I don't trust the polls anymore. I think people are making up stuff as they go along. And they will say one thing when they're being polled, but then when they're in the booth doing the voting, it's a complete other scenario because people go into that booth and remember, okay, I remember when this person said this. I remember when this person said that, or I'm going to do this because of such and such, or gas is too damn high, or rent is too damn high. That's where people are going to equate their emotions to the vote. So the voting with the polls, I don't trust it. I never will going forward since the whole Hillary debacle thing. But I digress. We might be in for a surprise. You might never know, but I just don't trust the system anymore. I just say up until this point, even yesterday I was speaking to somebody, at work. very staunch Donald Trump supporter, the Hispanic voters that are like, hey, you know, we do everything that he says. Even they're being annoyed. They're like, okay, well, what is this? Because you can't put up a liar and then a twice convicted, impeached person and then not think it's going to be an issue. And then they're waiting for the results from the trial, which I think is going to hit him again this week. So again, I don't see Donald Trump doing that well. I mean, it's wishful thinking. Uncle Joe is not in the safest waters either because his polling records or his ratings is so low right now. But he could always flip a switch and do something like, I don't know, cancel student loan debts at the last minute or something that he could pull out the magician hat and it will work in his favor. But both I can't stand, and from what I've heard from the consensus, again, you know, the political prophet did make it clear. Everybody's saying the same thing. They're not going to vote for the president in the election, but they will vote for local issues. And I think that's where it's going to boil down to. So don't be surprised at that. With the low voting coming into play for either Donald Trump or for Uncle Joe. But for local issues, you're going to see people go really hard and ham for the votes there. And that's where we need to be looking at. But we'll see.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. Jeremy, anything to add before we go into the next segment?
I just, these gentlemen that are running for office, they're basically thieves and liars. I mean, what else are we to expect from them? That's like asking a duck to roar. It's just not going to happen. You can put whoever you want up there. It keeps the same thing keeps happening. It's the same thing over and over and over again. They're all a bunch of unstable-minded individuals, and an unstable mind is unstable in all that they do. So you can't expect anything positive for the people to happen. Things that positive will happen for them, of course. But for the people, no. It's going to be the same thing. Poverty levels are going to skyrocket. Crime rates are going to skyrocket. Civil unrest is going to skyrocket. It's not going to change because what you have in front of you making laws, rules, and regulations. It is just what it is. In the moment you think otherwise, I'm sorry, that's not very wise. I know it's good to have hope, but that's not a hope that I have it's definitely not in politicians. They've never done anything outside of that to sway me any other way. And to Ricardo, you just lost it in the 2016. What about in 2000 with Mr. Bush? It was long before that happened that they were playing with the polls and swaying it to where they wanted to. Long before that. It's just made gymungous amongst, like people nowadays. They forget about that. It's already happened before. It's happened many a times. And I'm sure it's happened before that too. All throughout the history, I'm sure it's happened. They knock off people that they didn't want. They defrauded, defamed, whatever you want to call it. It's nothing new. It's the same old. So I'm going to sit back and watch this country collapse because that's what's going to happen.
All right, Jeremy. Thank you. So like I said, going to debut a new segment here on TFP. It is called As the MAGA Turns.
I know this is awkward for you, Allie, but it doesn't change the way I feel. Please come back to the yacht with me.
As the MAGA turns.
Turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
I have
I have been proud to be a Republican, but today I'm almost embarrassed to say that I'm a Republican because of where the party has gone.
Trump is transforming the moral character of the Republican Party into something that is quite honestly morally despicable.
It pains me that the Republican Party is not the party that I grew up with.
The Republican Party has become a cult, and I like to call it, we have Democrats, we have Republicans, and we have maggots, the Make America Great Again Trumplicans.
The Republican Party no longer is a Republican Party. It's a Trump party. And I would love to see the Republican Party come back in its full glory in the Reagan years.
The saddest thing about Trump is that the whole Republican Party has now backed him up, even to the point where you get Elise Stefanik saying that Mike Pence's decision was the wrong one. So like many people, I'm a man without a party right now.
The Republican Party no longer was centered on the values I cared about, but it was instead centered around Donald Trump in a way that still, I find, somewhat baffling.
This is not the Republican Party that I want to be a part of if this is how it's going to be. If this continues on, I'll probably end up going independent.
I do not understand the Republican Party in that they continued to support him, with the exception of just a few handful of people. The GOP party, or the Republican Party that I thought I was a part of, was represented by what is best for America, not is what is political best for me. We find that the majority, the preponderance of Republican candidates put political winning over principle. And I find that very distasteful and feel like I'm betrayed and lied to by the current Republican Party.
I'm a Republican. I used to watch Fox News, but something was happening at the beginning of the year where I felt like, oh my gosh, the RNC is getting hijacked. This is not my RNC. This is not my Republican Party. And you seem to be a platform of propaganda or whatever Trump wants you to say. I voted for Nikki Haley. And then, when I was barred, it's like, where do I go?
The Republican Party today is nothing like what I grew up with. And honestly, the people that are in control today, all they want is power. And they want to hold on to power for as long as they can. I don't know if it's to reshape our country or for their personal gain, but they seem hell-bent on changing the way we live in this country.
I really don't feel the leadership of the Republican Party today represents the same values that Ronald Reagan did. I have to consider the person of Donald Trump as being someone that is detrimental to the vision of the founding fathers. I have to really consider the fact that if there is a candidate that does not stand for all Americans, then how can that person really make America great? Therefore, I will not be voting for Donald Trump in the 2024 election.
The GOP party is now fomenting distrust and hatred. It used to be, and the party that I grew up in was the defender of morals and ethics and good governance. And where did all that go? It is a huge concern to me. I'm all for draining the swamp, but when we just turn it into a stinking cesspool, that is not how I want to live.
It's absolutely disgusting to me that the Republican Party would endorse and would be proposing Donald Trump again as the leader of the party. I mean, he is the leader of the Republican Party right now. And it is so embarrassing to me as a lifelong Republican. I can't even believe it. It makes me want to walk away.
I had voted in every election since 2008 that I possibly could. And every time I voted for Republican. I cannot see myself voting for them anytime soon. I cannot vote for a group that hates on women, hates on people because of race, creed, nationality, sexual orientation, ethnicity, religion, any of that. In the current format that the Republican Party currently is in, I don't see myself voting for them anytime soon. I will not vote for any Republican moving forward, because in order to be a leader in the Republican Party, you must swear true faith and allegiance to the former president. And in my opinion, that is not a democracy.
A tender-hearted woman's song for half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she sighed.
Donald Trump was speaking on Saturday in Wildwood, New Jersey, and you see it right there that the MAGA supporters who attended this event started leaving in the middle of Donald Trump's speech. How humiliating, how embarrassing. The crowd began thinning. People began walking back to the boardwalk while Donald Trump was ranting and raving like a lunatic. Trump is claiming during the speech that he hasn't noticed anybody leaving. Projection much here. We see people also leaving in the front seating section as well. Even people in the front are leaving. Here, play this video.
Has ever seen in all its history.
And here's just a photo that Aaliyah Schneider took. And as Donald Trump is speaking again, he brought Lawrence Taylor on the stage and he brought someone else on the stage. You see right there the crowd thinning as well. I mean, look at all of the people leaving in that photo. And look, as Donald Trump was up there, he was slurring his words. It was hard to even understand what it was that he was saying. Here, play this clip of Trump slurring his speech. Play this clip.
All done by Biden. Carried out by that's right, all being done by him. Carried out by radical Democrats.
And it got even weirder than that, folks. Donald Trump started praising someone who he called the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Play this clip.
Silence of the Lambs. Has anyone ever seen a Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner. Remember the last scene? Excuse me, I'm about to have a friend for dinner. As this poor doctor walked by. I'm about to have a friend for dinner, but Hannibal Lecter. Congratulations, the late, great Hannibal Lecter. We have people that are being released into our country that we don't want in our country.
Then Donald Trump didn't know how to say Jimmy Carter's name, so he said Jimmy Connors. Here, play this clip.
We're going to evict this man, the worst president by far. Jimmy Connors is Jimmy Connors is good. He's also happy.
All right. There go the video there. MD, what's your thoughts on what you saw?
I mean, so it goes back to the point that we was making in the last segment. How much of a boost or what how much of a decrease in popularism, because that at the end of the day that's what it is. You know, he's a popular guy. How much is he able to sustain it at the end of the day? And you know, some would argue the answer is no. Dealing with the Midas Cut segment. I know what that video was. You got that from I think it's Republicans Against Trump. That's where you got that video from, nigga.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm subscribed to him. So it's the Never Trumpers are gonna continue to be who they are. And let me say this while I'm thinking of it. Talking about the Never Trumpers. Nikki Haley, I'm disappointed in you. Yep. I am disappointed. You let the Never Trumpers down. You let me down, Nikki Haley. You let me down. You bent the knee because you trying to save what you believe is a future within the Republican Party. But if you all you had to do was stand fast, hold the line is all you had to do, and I guarantee you, in 2028, your position was going to be there, but you couldn't do it. You just couldn't do it. Some people were looking at you to be the next face of the GOP, and you crumbled under pressure. Sad, shameful. Now, some people are calling that an endorsement. I won't go that far. But all you had to do was just stay silent. That's all you had to do. It had been working. Upwards of 20% each primary. Those people in that video are the ones that were supporting you, and that's what they're supposed to do. So I would urge Biden to take advantage of the opportunity from a political standpoint. Biden's gonna have to come out with a strategy that's gonna cater to the hearts and minds of these never Trumpers. He got to do it because as it stands right now, and I'd like to say I don't know what the rest of the same. As it stands right now, you in bad shape, Biden, from a foreign policy standpoint, bad shape. So I would argue that maybe in your best interest for you to come up with a solution in terms of having a platform for these never Trumpers. Because right now they feel disenfranchised. And you know, I get it. So from that aspect, we have to take advantage from a conversation aspect of what the situation is with the rift in the Republican Party. Because those people, these are the people, and you know, Reagan is always a standpoint. Because Reagan represented that conservative ideal of republicanism. That currently at this stand, I don't care what all these MAGA maniacs say about family values. Just listen, conservatism is dead. The only people, hey, Ricardo killing me with the switching of the avatar. Hey, listen, the only people that stand a chance to save conservatism are those never Trumpers. So, you know, I would urge somebody to take up the shield and the armor and go to work. So that's what I say about that.
Okay, Ricardo, what do you think about Trump's popularity issue per se? This is his third time running for president, and at this point, it should be diminishing returns. What do you think here?
I'm going to start off by saying, MD, you know you love my hat. Make butts real again. Starting a campaign because I'm sick and tired. That tells you of the BBL crew. They get on my nerves. So all natural all the way. But yeah. With Trump now, I think it's a long time coming. I think it was the disenfranchised people who were so I guess upset with the idea that liberals took in Obama's mantra and the country was changing too fast for them, and the hierarchy and the you know the everything you could think of all mixed up in one, and he came to play and they were like, okay, well, we have a scapegoat, so we might as well just use him. So they pitched him and pushed him forward, and no one took him seriously, and then here we are, years later. Let's not forget he's a twice impeached president. No other president in history was ever impeached like how Donald Trump was impeached, and now is in the stages of being, I doubt we're going to see him being jailed, but if he does, he'll probably get probation or something, but he will not be walking off there scotch-free. That's the worst case scenario for the Democratic Party, is to see him walk away without nothing sticking to him. But his popularity would have been waning anyways, because he's just, this man continuously lies. Like, he just comes up with a whole bunch of narratives and stories that don't make sense. And I won 29 golf, championships in my lifetime. Like, sir, you're not even Tiger Woods. Like, what are you talking about? Like, which golf course are you doing all this championship stuff? Is this Acme Golf Championships, or like you remember in the back in the day they have the Acme um illusion, aspect of anything, Acme University, all of that stuff. Is this where you're winning stuff at? Like, he comes up and he inflates everything he talks about. I'm a billionaire. I have this. I have, and he brags and he's so egotistical. At some point in time, sir, people are just gonna be like putting two and two together and go, What are you? Where are you getting your facts from? Like, the alternative facts don't make sense. What you're saying don't make sense. Next thing you know, you're gonna say, I met Jesus like 2 days ago, and he spoke to me, and he said I was gonna do so and so. Like, nothing you say makes sense, sir. But it's always the sheeps, the gullibles, the people that have nothing to do with their time, like the ones that take their hard working money to go help support his campaign. Again, people, if this man told you he was a billionaire, why are you taking your hard-earned money to help fund his campaign? Let him pay for it. Like, I don't understand the logic. And like, my mom taught me well, why are you, as a hardworking person, taking your hard-earned money to go help facilitate somebody else? Let them pay for it. He's rich already, isn't he? What are you're not in the same stature as he is. So why are you paying for him? But I digress, because people want something to believe in. People want to be a part of a tribe, a mob mentality, and all of this. At some point in time, the Tea Party fell behind. Everything predating them fell behind too. The MAGA crowd at some point in time is just gonna just fizzle into oblivion. Now, what I want to see, and again, I'm setting this up for Vancat to like put out the popcorn avatar here, is what happens when election night comes and it's called that, Uncle Joe wins again. Are they gonna then, unalive themselves? Are they gonna set, places on fire? What is gonna be the situation you're going to hand? Because is the phrase "I told you so" or "we told you so" comes into play here. Like, he was not gonna make it, but again, you guys believe these false narratives, these whole, lies he's telling you, I'm going to give you so and so. You heard it with the libertarian speech he was doing. Oh, if you guys vote for me, pick me, I will put a libertarian, two libertarians, maybe three or four on my administration. You could have done that in your previous one. Why didn't you put them in there in the first place to begin with? But I digress, because you scream desperation at this point. You're gonna say any and everything at this point to win. And another point I wanted to bring up. I hate the phrase to say this to MD. I told you so with Nikki Haley. I told you she was flip floppy. That was my main issue with her from the get go. She just flip flops. Now today she signed some missile that eventually is going to kill some Palestinian family, if not a child or some sort. And then she's going to come up tomorrow and say, oh, but I didn't know that when I signed the missile that, the United States helped fund, the Iron Dome with, I just signed it because they told me to do it on spot. Lady, what are you doing? Like, you could have toed the line so easily, and you decided to give him an endorsement, even though you said it's not. It falls short of. But what are you doing? Like, this was my main issue with her to begin with. She just flip flops, and she just doesn't know whether or not she wants to be in his camp or out of his camp. You had it easy, Nikki. You could have literally become the 2028 candidate, but we digress again. You guys don't have a backbone. These people that are following him, like the Viveks, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, they're all just in it for something. As for what he's promising them, probably the golden calf at this point, I would never know. But I would love to know what happens when it's all said and done, and the day after election, and we all know what's going to be going forward from there. Do they have a job? Do they then scream that they want to be doing books like Spicer and the rest of them that were in there? You're going to go and dance with the stars? What are you guys going to be doing? Because this man has promised you the world and 9 yards, and what does he have to show for it? But he's a billionaire, so I digress. Do y'all, baby. Do you, baby. Do you.
All right, Jeremy. Anything else to add to that?
Yes. So the golden calf has been since the beginning and the foundation of this country, but we won't go down that route. And as far as both of these politicians, you have the iron fist with the velvet glove, and then you just have the iron fist. It's the same thing. One is just milder speeching. The other one's just boastful, arrogant, prideful. Let you know where he's at. Either way you go, you're getting the same thing. I've been saying it since I first got on this platform, and I'm going to continue to say it. You are voting for the same monster. You're voting for the same monster because the same outcome is desired by both parties. The utter destruction of the people. It is we, the corporation, by the corporation, and of the corporation. It is not the people. The illusion that is the people is that. It's an illusion. There is no power because they still pass laws that most people don't agree with. So at the end of the day, I'm going to sit back and watch everything unfold, and it's going to continuously get worse. I'm going to say it again. It's going to continuously get worse. It is never going to get better because you have liars, thieves, and people who are greedy, filthy dogs running it all. And they are not for you. They're not for me. They're not for anybody. Let's just keep it real. They're not for anybody. They don't care about you. They care less if your baby's starving in the streets. They'll walk right over. And that's what they do every day by the stupid nonsense that they fight over. They don't fight over real issues. They fight over vague, fictitious foolishness. That's what they fight over. You're not fighting for us. You're not for us. Let's be real. And the people need to wake up to that. They need to understand that. And they really, really, really need to rethink what they want and how to go about it. And I will leave it like that.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. All right. For this next segment, want to go and revisit Marjorie Taylor Greene's blow up on Capitol Hill. Let's take a look at that video. That was a big viral moment in politics. So let's see what the panel has to say about this one.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order. Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath even
the order of your committee.
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person? Are your feelings hurt? Her words down. Oh, girl, baby girl. Oh, really? Don't even play. Baby girl? I don't think we are going to move, and we're going to take your words down.
I second that motion.
So, you agree to strike your words?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Greene agrees to strike her words.
I believe she needs to apologize. No.
Okay, hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Greene
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then you're not striking your words. I am not apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities.
Big boobs. What?
A what now?
Well, maybe it's just because you're ugly.
Ugly? Don't do it. Don't do it.
So, my eyes are correct.
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. 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 That would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just
you just voted to do it.
Y'all did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
Voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this is what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized.
They're being called the Real Housewives of D.C., and no one is saying sorry today.
I believe she was apologizing.
I'm not apologizing.
The bickering began when Republican firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene insulted Houston Democrat Jasmine Crockett.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up. No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
That's beneath even order of your.
That's when AOC jumped into the fray.
That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play,
Baby girl.
When the committee refused to censure Greene, Crockett fired back.
I'm just curious if someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body.
We're not going to do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You just voted to do it.
Y'all did it first, so you don't want to talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do. So I'm trying to get clarification.
You're not.
What is this, junior high or Congress? What are we dealing with here?
The stunning squabble has America buzzing today.
It's embarrassing. It's a girl fight.
You know it's bad when somebody goes, girl, baby girl. Those are kind of fighting words.
Girl, baby girl.
Friendly fire, courtesy of Senator John Fetterman, over this bad behavior in Congress.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down. Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play,
Baby girl. I don't think
we are gonna.
After that chaos, Fetterman joked that he was sorry to Jerry Springer for ever comparing Congress to the Wild Talk Show.
In the past, I've described the U.S. House as the Jerry Springer Show. Today, I'm apologizing to the Jerry Springer Show. Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded by saying, quote, "I understand you likely would not have stood up for your colleague and seem to be confused about racism and misogyny being a both sides issue, but I stand up to bullies instead of becoming one."
Today, Fetterman was the one saying, don't even play.
And Ocasio-Cortez seems to be suggesting that you're a bully.
Oh, well, of course, that's absurd. I was just simply responding to the kind of chaos and everything that Representative Greene started as well. And if everyone on the committee was proud of what they've produced, they're entitled to their opinion. Or if they feel that this is the kind of a video that you want to send to a classroom of 8th grade civics kind of students across America, again, that's their choice.
A lot of people were like, oh my God, this back and forth kind of made the U.S. look a little bit bad. Gonna put it out there. How do you feel about that statement?
First of all, it's a false equivalency. Number one, she had multiple opportunities. Number one, she could have just not said it because it's against the rules, but she decided to do so anyway. Second of all, they said, hey, either you be kicked out or you apologize. Well, she decided she wasn't going to apologize, and the chairman then decided he also wasn't going to kick her out. And so I made sure that I still stayed within the rules. I did not say anything directly to her, and I posed a question. I didn't even use her name. I didn't even use her state. Now, a hit dog hollered, but I didn't do any of those things. And it was really more so to ask the question of our chairman, what type of hearings are you going to conduct? What type of precedents are you allowing to be made? And what are the parameters going to be going forward? I don't think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to change who she is, because
I was going to say, has she learned her lesson? Has she learned her lesson?
No, not her. But the chairman may decide that it's not worthwhile to deal with all this heat, and instead he may decide that he's going to control her when at least she's in his committee.
You had this epic line now. I heard that there are t-shirts. Are those your t-shirts, or like did somebody else come in?
No, those are other people that are doing shirts. But we are doing shirts as well.
Okay, with the same slogan, or?
Yes, because it's mine.
And you have trademarked it.
I have not trademarked it. We've submitted for a trademark for it.
Okay,
because
good.
we want to make sure that something good comes out of this.
So what do you say to the bootleggers?
Stop.
Okay.
Or if you're not stopping, even though we do have a trademark pending, so you may end up getting a cease and desist. if you're not going to stop, at least take the proceeds and actually send it to candidates. This is all about making sure that we can return the House to some semblance of normalcy and we can actually do the work of the people. So stop trying to fill your pockets and help out other candidates that are running for office.
All right, we're back here. I just got to say, Daniel Price is just off. It's just on fire in the comment section, man. I mean, he says after that, Teddy Long came out and announced a 6 Congresswoman tag team match. Holla, holla. So, Ricardo, what do you think about the whole blow up there with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who seems to always be in some kind of petty confrontation?
Lord, that was, when I tell you that was the most trending thing the day after it came out. A couple of points that I wanted to bring up during that whole exchange with MTG and OSC and that random old dude that's like, they're like, wait, what now? Like, if you don't know how to keep up with the current affairs of today, sir, you shouldn't be on the panel. Like, if you're seeing the exchange, and who was moderating that whole thing? Shame on you to not have, put down the whole exchange to begin with. That's what your job is to do, is to moderate, is to keep things in order. I don't understand why it went that long without somebody intervening, stepping in and say something. With that being stated, Marjorie Taylor, with her whole thing to begin with, when she tried to insult, and I don't understand the other stance of her to begin with as well. You insult another female, which you know was gonna go down the should I even swear? Screw it. The shit pile at that particular point. The you did it to a black woman. Do you not have that much sense, Marjorie Taylor Greene? You knew she was gonna hit you back with the read, and if you don't know what a read is, or the shade, if you don't know what a shade is basically somebody's gonna come back at you, but they're gonna come back to you with a fiercer comment, which you won't even see it coming from a mile, which is what the representative did. And she did it in such a sly way that it caught even the other representatives off guard, that they started to chuckling, except for the few who got it in that moment and in that instance. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, do not then complain and then say something else. It's the passive aggressiveness that gets me every time. And I hope people understand during that exchange. It's something I always see all the time, even with me when I'm at work. Do not come for me unless I send for you. Or the famous saying from that song, from that rapper, try Jesus, but don't try me. Because if you come at me and I hit you back harder, I'm not going to hit you with violence. I'm going to hit you with some very intellectual, smart, snipey words that's going to grind at your gears and get to your deep soul, that will hurt you after the exchange is done, for you to go back in the middle of that night and say, that mother effer black dude that said that to me today. That's the type of person that I am. That will hit you with it, and I do it at work all the time. I don't get you back with your side comments, but I'll get you back in a way where I will make sure you remember the black dude that said it to you after. And I bet you won't do it again, because people always make these assumptions. Is exactly what she did. There's a number of things that I saw with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She loves to rile up a crowd, because she did it with that dude that was with the Stoneman Douglas school shooting. And she just says a whole bunch of things and diatribe that makes no sense. But she does it to incense her crowd or her base or whatnot, whoever they are. Because MD says they're like particular out there in Georgia. But you don't do a passive-aggressive stance, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then go, what she said again? She said something to the effect of, calm down. Oh, calm down. That's the worst thing you could ever do. And I say this to my Caucasian colleagues, friends, family members, people out there that are listening. Do not do that to a black person. The minute you say calm down, it's like violence that you're really trying to reap from us. Don't do it. It's a very annoying thing to do. Don't do something and then do a passive-aggressive stance and then say calm down to the person after. It doesn't fly. It's one of those things that incite violence in a very harsh way. So I'm glad when she hit her with the comment that she made, it really hit a nerve, because if she wasn't upset about it, she wouldn't have done a video the day afterwards talking about, oh, I exercise, and this is why they could call me a beach blonde, bad built butch body. It still was insulting. It was enough to it hit a nerve with you. You could tell it really did hit a nerve with her. Because in other words, I think no one's really questioned her appearance. I've always did that. She kind of does look butch. Like, you don't look feminine enough, and you're in politics. So all of that intertwined with that exchange didn't help her at all. Now, some people might say, hey, it might, rile up her base and blah blah blah. Who gives a damn? All the things that we're saying about you, Marjorie Taylor, MTG, between the space lasers and you're talking bad about the Stoneman Douglas school shooting event, which happened close to me, by the way. It was really a traumatic day to begin with. That's a whole nother story. But when you do stuff like that, ma'am, you can't help but think that there's going to be some kind of cause and effect, casual play that's going to happen with you. And don't be surprised when people come after you and then you go and don't do, and I hate when people do this as well, don't cry wolf and do the victim card thing. It's another annoyance. It's almost like being a Karen in the moment, and she's infamous for being a Karen for me in politics. You do certain things and then you complain about it afterwards. Don't do that. It's either gonna step your foot in the doo-doo and then wipe it off, or step in it and just say, hey, I stepped in it. It's my fault. It stinks. It reeks. But hey, I stepped in it. Don't just flip-flop. And that's what I'm seeing with you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's not a good look. Now, I also love the exchange of OSC where she's like, baby girl, don't play. That's a New York stance. If anybody knows from up north, that's the true New Yorker coming out of her. And that was funny to see in that exchange. But I digress. We shouldn't be seeing this kind of display in politics. What has gone to or happened to this country where we're not engaging in a very civic way. It's very ghetto, to begin with. Like, we shouldn't be doing this kind of exchange with the taxpayers' money. Like, we could do better. But I digress. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. And it's just the vitriol after vitriol, and it's just, despicable and disgusting. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, kudos to you. You made yourself relevant in a week, and let's see how fickle our poor little brains are at this point.
All right. Thanks, Ricardo. Jeremy, thoughts on that altercation?
First of all, the woman sidesteps the hook and hits her with an uppercut and lays her out. That was perfect. The way she just came out so fluently and just laid her out with that comment after. That skill. Skills not for the political spectrum, no, but nevertheless, props to the trash talk. I can appreciate somebody hitting somebody back with it when somebody comes at you with it. I mean, regardless, they should have stopped it, like Ricardo said, when Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever her name is, said the first comment. I agree 100% because I don't fault the other woman for coming back. Could she have handled it better? Of course, but at the same time, in reality, that's to be expected. I mean, you're on a stage and it's recorded, and you're gonna sit here and take a private shot at somebody when you're talking about politics. You kind of get what you deserve at that point. And I agree, she does look pretty manly. Has nothing to do with her physique. Her facial features even look manly. So it's not the exercise woman. It's your face. So that's what we're getting. It's seeping into every part of politics. I think that we're seeing that. I think we're seeing the comedy show instead of a political back and forth on important matters versus, granted, I don't agree with the paintbrushes, but I also don't agree with, the way the other woman looks with her bleach blonde hair, but that's neither here nor there in the matter. But that's what you get. That's what happens. That's exactly what happens when you put forth these type of people. At least back in the day, they were, at least a little more, I don't know. I guess I don't want to use the word appropriate, but less in your face, real world type. Politics is getting even more ugly as each election passes, and it keeps the erosion of our country. It's erosion. It's like that wave that just continuously hits the shore. Over time, that house that's near it ends up collapsing, and that is our government. The waves are hitting it, and it's going to collapse because of this psychotic, ridiculously stupid behavior and childish actions that we have from our politicians. And that's just what you get. It's going to, as in Mr. Others would say, watch it burn. It's going to burn, and it's going to calm down really hard. So I guess enjoy it while you can.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. MD, any comments on the Marjorie Taylor Greene altercation?
I mean, not really, man. We've said pretty much everything that need to be said about it. I will say this, and I'll give a bold prediction. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, she's still in tune with that whole MAGA ideology and defending Trump, this, that, and the third. But I think she's looking at the long game. Me personally, I believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene, at some point, depending on the way the election goes this year, may separate herself, not necessarily from the ideology, but from the pack, so to speak. You played a video earlier with the RSBN guy when he said, let me step aside, when Trump was late. That guy just left RSBN, and he hasn't said what he's about to do next. He's dating Marjorie Taylor Greene right now. On top of that, you also have the odd relationship between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon. I believe, now this is me personally, I believe that she's setting up not necessarily a coup, I wouldn't call it that, but she's setting up some type of divergent wing of that MAGA cult to put herself in a more favorable position. If you notice a lot of the stuff that's going on with her, the moves that she's trying to make with the whole ousting of Mike Johnson and all that, which mainline MAGA cultures didn't agree with. Keep that in mind. I believe that from a political standpoint, she's trying to make sure that she positions herself in a favorable position, like I said before, in the, I guess you could say, in the wake of the possibility of Trump not being elected. So just keep that in mind. As far as Jasmine Crockett, hey, she fine. I ain't gonna front on that. I think it's admirable that she's using this situation to promote awareness of congressional candidates. I deem that admirable. At first, when I heard about the shirts and stuff, I thought she's just trying to capitalize. But if you go on her congressional website, she does say like what the proceeds should go to and all of that. So that's an admirable position. I can't even trip on that. So yeah, that's all I got. Just remember I said that about MTG if it happened. I'm the political prophet.
Tape machines are rolling. So let's now pivot over to Vivek and Ann Coulter. And this happened a few weeks ago. We didn't get to comment on it. So here we go.
I too am a fan of yours. I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
Vivek responded on X, writing, quote, Ann Coulter told me flat out to my face that she couldn't vote for me because you're an Indian, even though she agreed with me more than most other candidates. I disagree with her, but respect she had the guts to speak her mind. It was a riveting hour.
Many took issue with Vivek's. Journalist Zed Jelani wrote on X, quote, okay, what level of simp is Vivek on here that he's like, well, she absolutely hates me for my ethnicity, but I really respect her. Journalist and CEO of Zato News wrote, quote, you respect that she was openly and crudely racist to your face? Sheesh, the things that brown folks will do to be accepted by the white supremacy wing of the GOP. That was Mehdi Hassan. And co-founder of Based Politics, Brad Palumbo, wrote, so Ann Coulter is just racist and you don't even stand up for yourself in the face of blatant racism?
The reason she gave is that she thinks that immigrants from other parts of the world, including India, are hostile to American values, constitutional values, including the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, free speech, and gun rights. That's what I was going to get to. The problem with that being...
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Because during the campaign, I don't remember what exactly she said, but on numerous instances would comment on different ways in which I might not be quite qualified to be president. Of course, I disagree with hell like her on that being a criteria to be the U.S. president is her description of whether or not you're an Indian. Because her view is that in order to actually be a U.S. president, you got to be even more American, right? So you're not fully American if your parents weren't from the United States of America.
If you were to say of the voters bloc, what percentage of the voter bloc agrees with her?
Also telling someone to their face, I really liked you out of the Republican candidates in the primary. I think you're brilliant, but you're Indian, even though you were born in Ohio.
It's a cartoonish racism, right? It's a racism from like a Dave Chappelle skit, basically, where this lady's saying like you have all of the qualifications, you seem like an incredible candidate, but literally because your parents are from a place that's not America, I can't vote for you. Mind you, like nobody's actually from America. That's the thing, like outside of Native Americans or indigenous people, nobody's actually from here. So making that case it's obviously racist, but it's also very stupid.
Now, I wanted to make sure that I understood, because I didn't follow this whole controversy you've had with this Vivek Ramaswamy comment. And I kept saying to my team, I said, did she actually say this? And they said, yeah, she's not denying it.
Because you're an Indian.
Was that a joke?
No, I explained it for the next hour, I guess. I mean, I've said it a million times. I think immigrants should wait a few generations before telling us what to do. I'm only talking about president here. We're the freest country in the world. I mean, look at what they're doing on speech in Great Britain right now, the mother country. We are our right to bear arms, our free speech rules.
So you stand by it?
Yeah, I said I'd vote for his kids.
But you stand by the comment that no regrets.
And we have a very unusual country, and also, well, I'm summarizing what I said in greater length. I mean, there's a reason the founders wanted the president to be natural born, which Ted Cruz is not. The president is different from any other position. I told him he could be Secretary of State, he could be a Supreme Court justice, he could be a governor. But for president, I think we got to wait for the third generation.
Did you prepare that line? Did you
no,
know
I'm going to stick it
on the spot. Come on, you didn't say I'm going to create some controversy here.
If it was like being back in college where you just make crazy bold statements and then you defend it for an hour.
Right. Have you ever said something and then taken it back and said, you know what, I shouldn't have said that?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
I've changed my mind over time on things.
Right. Ann Coulter, good to see you. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. MD, what is your thoughts here on how Vivek really handled that comment from Ann Coulter?
I think he was expecting it, but I don't think that he knew how to handle it from the conversation aspect of it. Vivek is one of those people, because he's not white, he tries to work, he do the workaround. He try to come up with other convenient ways of accessing his thought when it comes to nationalism, right? And at the end of the day, that's what we talk about. We talk about a nationalistic view of what an American is. And culture told you what the nationalist American is. It's the one. It's the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's what it is. Ain't nothing that you can do to change that. Point blank, period. But the issue is not the description of the nationalist. The issue is the nationalism within itself. Nationalism, and anybody that want to fight me on that, we can do it. Nationalism has never been, at any particular time in the history of America, the predominant way of thinking of Americana. It never has been. The reason I know that is based on how the bulk of the majority of the wealth and the prosperity has transferred into America. And it's never been under a nationalistic view, ever. From the beginning of this country, it came through England. They didn't like that. They went to something else. Then it came through slavery. They understood, well, a bulk of the majority of the country understood that wasn't right. They went to something else. Then it went through the exploitation of the white peasantry of Europe. Then once they got in good, then it mingled into America's economy and went to something else. Now is immigration is the flavor of the day. So it's never been a nationalistic country. Like so that's what we have to fight. The fact that Vivek is able to come up with his own concept, what he called a libertarian view of that, which is stupid because libertarians are not national. Libertarians, if it was up to them, they'll put your ass in chains and you'll be working for them. You know what I'm saying? Because they believe in freedoms of all people, even if that takes away somebody else's freedom. So kill me with that. You know what I'm saying? In the aspect of the visualization of how a lot of these MAGA cultures view what nationalism is, at the end of the day, you can say what you want to say. It don't involve you. It don't. You know what I'm saying? And that's not me trying to racialize it. That's just me telling you as it is when it pertains to the conservative view of a lot of these people. So then you have to turn around and say, okay, how does my conservatism lie into the MAGA ideology? I would argue that with Vivek, it don't. Because Vivek he don't fit into that conservative narrative that's being pushed. He tried to fit himself in there. That's why he said what he said. But Ann Coulter made him look stupid. Now, do I believe, again, we said this before, do I believe that Ann Coulter believe a lot of stuff? No, I don't. I believe Ann Coulter is a troll. She's been a troll for years, for decades. She's just like to say provocative stuff because that's what sells the book. So I don't even believe what Ann Coulter said that she believed. But she understands the narrative. And that's what's most damning to Vivek. So he's just gonna have to accept that. And that's just what it is.
All right, thanks, MD. Ricardo, what do you think about what Vivek just said? Or what Ann Coulter said, I should say.
I was expecting more from Vivek's angle where he could have actually put her in her place and he didn't. And I think the problem that most people are having with him, and it's going to present a problem for him down the road because he doesn't comes off as somebody that will stand his ground, if that's the word that I'm looking for at this point. He's someone that is more in line or in tow of following the guard, if that makes sense. He doesn't strike me as somebody that will put his foot down and say, all right, I heard what you just said just now, but let me tell you something, woman. I'm not going to put up with what you just said. You know what I'm saying? That's unacceptable, what you just said. Now, mind you, I'm trying to be a part of y'all club. But if me being a part of your club is going to be you low key, saying disparaging things about me or doing undertones that are like dog whistles and whatnot to try to appease like the certain cult of the crowd or the segment of the party or whatnot, y'all can miss me with that BS. And I that's what I was expecting him to say, or say that the day after. He just doubled down with but I went on the show and I respect. Respect has nothing to do with what she just said. She literally flat out just said in the segment, if I'm not mistaken, she literally just said something to the effect of they should wait a generation for what? What is he? What is what would they be waiting a generation for? Like I'm confused with that narrative. Like, so is she not aware that he was born, he's an actual American citizen? Like, this is the same thing. I could even go to the point of view of when MD, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Ashgashi or Agashi, the guy that was killed in Saudi Arabia, and that whole fiasco with the Saudi prince killing an American citizen or permanent resident, and everybody was like, oh no, he's not American, he was born outside of the US. Let me make something clear to you folks that are out there. Once you're a naturalized citizen here from this country, it is the U.S. best interest and asset to go after or protect their citizens. It doesn't matter where, as long as they swore an oath to protect this country, to fight in this, because a lot of you guys that don't do civics, when you're becoming naturalized for this country, you have to sign the draft paper. That's the first thing you sign. That's the first thing I signed when I was being naturalized in this country. There's no ifs or buts about it. They made that very clear to you at the embassy. You will be drafted if there is a war tomorrow, and you don't get to say if or buts about it. You will go front of the line. And that is the first signature you sign. So when I hear people say stuff like this, where they're like, oh, but you have to wait a generation or wait 2 generations. Ma'am, he was born here. So what is he waiting on? Like, that's where I'm confused with that narrative. Like, again, these white nationalist point of views of, oh, this is what it's ought to be. The country's changing. It's almost, if I'm not mistaken, we're close to 400 million people, if not 500 million people by now. And it's I think we're supposed to be celebrating 250 years. The bicentennial is about 2 years from now, if not a year from now. I haven't looked it up, but we're coming close to it. Explain. There we go, Daniel. You know your stuff, Jamal. Khashoggi. I am baffled with this whole narrative of you're an immigrant and whatnot. It's like, once I sign an oath, or not even sign, took an oath, raise my hand and say I'm, for whatever, for this country, blah blah blah. You're naturalized. It means you're a citizen of this country. I don't get this concept of you're still an immigrant. You are part of this country. You're part of the American psyche. You're part of the American ideology, all of that. So this idea of her thinking because he's Hindu, he fits all the description of what she thinks he's supposed to be in terms of like a leader of the Conservative Party or whatnot. But because he's Hindu, she has a problem with that. Yeah, she's really trolling the crap out of him. Really and truly she is. And she does this often to sell her products. But I still, a part of me thinks it's 50-50 with her, MD. She kind of believes her words, but sometimes she kind of doesn't. It's when we get the rising out of her is when she does the doubling down, and she thinks she could use that as a way of like, oh, you see, I could poke the bear and I could get you guys a reaction. Ma'am, like, certain things you say don't make sense. And Vivek, shame on you. Shame on you, sir, for allowing her to get away with so much nonsense that night. I expected better from you. But again, you're spineless. You don't have a spine in you. You're kind of like the McCarthys and the rest of them that are in this damn party, where we're not sure if conservative is still alive somewhere. There should be a slither of hope somewhere, but I don't know where this Republican Party stands anymore. And that's the issue. So I've always made this clear. I'm an independent voter. I will always be an independent voter, because the last thing I want is for y'all to bombard me with your useless propaganda crap when it comes to election time. Vote liberal, vote this, vote that. I'll make my own choice. I will make the decision of voting who is the best candidate for me, for my money, for where the country needs to be going to, for my local constituents and all of that. I'll make that decision. I don't need y'all to be bombarding me with the liberal and conservative ideas. I know where I stand. I don't need the manipulation from either side of the party. That's where it means marking yourself in the middle and you pleasing me with the votes. That's where you want to get my votes from. But again, shame on you, Vivek. We expected better. But if you're trying to be a president in the future, this ain't it. This is not it, and you're not going to get it because of what this election brought about. That's it.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. And before we go into our lame duck, we got Jeremy. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the Vivek video?
I think that the woman clearly was out of line. I mean, that goes without saying. I don't think anybody needs to really like point that out. It's kind of clear as day. As far as Vivek, I mean, yeah, he's kind of a henpeck, but do you think that by him not saying anything and allowing her to make a fool out of herself and dig her own grave, do you think that was a more positive way of handling that to make herself look, she just put her own foot in her mouth and made herself look stupid? Or do you think he should have went off on her and then she could have continued on the narrative of, see, this is why we can't have them, because that's what she would have went. So, I mean, damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I prefer that he handled it. I don't think he should have said, I respect her for, coming out and being honest, because you can feel that way. That's fine. But to openly admit it, I wouldn't have gone that route. I just would have kept silent over the whole matter and just would have let her continue to dig her own grave, because nobody can destroy themselves like themselves. They do it better than anybody. You just let them talk, let them say what they got to say, and eventually they will be their own demise, especially people like that. She's not smart. She's not intelligent, and I think he handled that better in the sense that made her look stupid. That's where I'm going with that. So, I mean, we're at this point in society where, it's unfortunate to say, but the hatred is always going to be here, because ignorance is always going to be in the earth, and evil, terrible people are always going to be in the earth. Unfortunately, that's the reality. All we can do is navigate through it and try to do the best for ourselves, our families, and the people around us that we can affect on a daily basis by our conduct. So, I mean, it's not surprising. It's gross, but nevertheless, it's this country and many others that show it in a different manner. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. So now it's time for us to go into session. It's time for us to go into the lame duck session. Tonight's lame duck will be number 40. So here we go.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These lights. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life.
Out front tonight, the breaking news. Trump claims deadly force authorized. The quote.
President Trump calling out President Biden after learning that his administration authorized the use of deadly force during the FBI's 2022 raid on Mar-a-Lago during the classified documents probe. According to this filing, the DOJ and the FBI agents plan to bring standard issue weapons, ammunition, handcuffs, and medium and large sized bolt cutters. They were also instructed to wear unmarked polo or collared shirts and to, quote, keep law enforcement equipment concealed. Trump posted on Truth Social this. Crooked Joe Biden's DOJ, in their illegal and unconstitutional raid of Mar-a-Lago, authorized the FBI to use deadly force. Now we know for sure that Joe Biden is a serious threat to democracy. He is mentally unfit to hold office, 25th Amendment, writes President Trump. The FBI says this is normal, though. In a statement, the FBI said this. The FBI followed standard protocol in this search, as we do for all search warrants, which includes a standard policy statement limiting the use of deadly force. No one ordered additional steps to be taken, and there was no departure from the norm in the matter.
Robert, how rare is it that the FBI would even comment publicly on something like this?
Hey, good afternoon to you both. Yeah, rare indeed. It's relatively rare for the FBI to comment on public comments on their
Very
actions.
first line under top news falsely claims that deadly force was authorized against Trump during an FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago. The newsletter coming just an hour after Trump gave this radio interview.
Newly released court filings show that the FBI was authorized to use deadly force if needed during the raid of your private home in August 2022. It's stunning. You know, you're a former president of the United States. What was your reaction that it was authorized by Biden's DOJ?
Well, these are vicious people. These are fascists, communists.
Let me go through the wording here very carefully in just a moment. First, I want you to know how much this claim of an assassination has been, steamrolling in the MAGA world. Trump claiming on social media that there are, quote, reports that crooked Joe Biden's DOJ in their illegal and unconstitutional raid of Mar-a-Lago, all caps, authorized the FBI to use deadly, lethal force.
They authorized deadly force. They had a medic. They had a plan to triage the wounded. They had a trauma center 18 miles away and a map. This was an attempted assassination attempt on Donald John Trump, or people associated with him.
Biden unleashed armed agents into Trump's house, authorizing them to use deadly force.
But more MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene on social media, quote, the Biden DOJ and FBI were planning to assassinate President Trump and gave the green light. Congressman Paul Gosar, Biden ordered the hit on Trump at Mar-a-Lago. A hit, an assassination. These are sitting congresspeople, of course, that I just quoted there, accusing the sitting president and the FBI of trying to assassinate a former president. Now, they're basing this on newly unsealed documents related to the 2022 search of Mar-a-Lago. Now, among those documents was something called a law enforcement operations order, which explains what agents are allowed to do and what they're allowed to bring with them, in this case, where they searched Mar-a-Lago. So what's in there is boilerplate language from the Justice Department manual about the use of force. It's boilerplate. It's everywhere. When the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. The language is standard, and it is directly from the department's manual. By the way, they also knew that Trump was 1,000 miles away when they went in, so they knew he wasn't even there. But the former FBI Deputy Operations Chief, Rob D'Amico, tells out front that the language included here is, quote, standard language for every single operation, bar none. Boilerplate, every single situation. What Trump is saying is just a disinformation campaign, highlighting it for people who don't know. Now, a disinformation campaign about a case that Trump is trying to stop from ever coming to trial.
Some breaking news this hour. Special counsel Jack Smith is seeking a gag order in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case.
Smith made the request of federal judge Aileen Cannon tonight after Donald Trump this week falsely suggested that language in the FBI search warrant of Mar-a-Lago, the one that was used to search his Florida property in the summer of 2022, that language was actually a secret attempt by President Biden to use the FBI to assassinate Trump.
The Washington Post reports Trump email falsely said Biden was locked and loaded to take me out in a Mar-a-Lago search. Trump sent out a fundraising email in which he said this. He said Biden was locked and loaded and they were ready to kill me. The FBI knew Trump wasn't even at Mar-a-Lago on the day that they served the search warrant.
I want to ask you about another issue. Just recently, there was this issue of the search warrant for the search of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago property. Yeah. And it authorized the use of deadly force for the FBI agents, standard boilerplate language. But you and others have described it as an assassination attempt on the former president. That's just not true. Why would you say something like that?
Well, first of all, my view of it is very simple. You have the FBI going in to do this raid on Mar-a-Lago. This is not like any other raid that they would do because Merrick Garland wanted that to happen. Merrick Garland wanted the scenes, which your network did cover, of going into Mar-a-Lago.
Congressman, with all due respect, the language for the search is standard operating procedure for every operation of that kind that the FBI does. They did the same thing when they searched Joe Biden's house.
Yes, but I would say
so how is that weaponizing?
Well, what I would say when they searched
Joe Biden weaponizing
when
the
they
DOJ
searched
against
Joe
himself?
Biden's house, there weren't all the networks, from my recollection, with helicopters flying over the beach house in Rehoboth Beach, going to find the classified documents in his garage that he took when he was the vice president and when he was the United States senator, which, by the way, is a violation of the Espionage
Congressman,
Act.
I'm talking about
They didn't do that.
I'm talking about
They didn't
this
politicize
conspiracy
it.
theory.
They didn't politicize
Congressman,
it.
I'm talking about the conspiracy theory that the FBI was trying to assassinate Trump.
Well, let's talk
Would you
about-
acknowledge that that is not true?
Well, let's talk about what's fact. Let's talk about
just
what's
real
fact.
simple question.
What's fact
is it true or false that the FBI was trying to assassinate Trump?
What's fact is that Joe Biden violated the Espionage Act. He did it with impunity.
I just want to know.
Robert Hur is not prosecuting him.
Congressman, I just want to know that you are not responding to a very simple question about a conspiracy theory that you voiced.
What conspiracy theory?
That the FBI, by having on a document that they are authorized to use deadly force, was trying to harm or assassinate former President Trump. That is false. Will you acknowledge that?
Can I be very clear with you?
Sure.
I'm not sure what Merrick Garland is trying to do these days.
So the answer
because
is
it is
no.
clear that the
You
Department
won't
of Justice
acknowledge
is being
that's not
weaponized
true.
against Donald Trump. That is clear.
That's pretty extraordinary.
That they're weaponized against Donald Trump. That's not extraordinary. That's what's happening right now.
It's pretty extraordinary that when faced with really clear facts, very clear facts, it's pretty much black and white, you won't acknowledge it. I'm trying to understand why.
Abby, we just had this conversation.
Is it because
let's talk
the
about what
former
we're
president
witnessing.
himself has raised this conspiracy that you feel like you have to support
I've not even talked to the president about this. You asked me a question about the FBI raid. I'm telling you, we are witnessing a weaponization of the Department of Justice against a political rival because Donald Trump had documents covered under the Presidential Records Act. They raided Mar-a-Lago.
I'm not litigating.
Joe Biden had documents, and there's no prosecution because he's a senile old man.
I'm not arguing with you
that's not even
the
equal
validity
justice
of the charges. It's a simple question of whether the raid was carried out in a way that was standard operating procedure for the FBI. And as I'm sure you know, the Republican Party calls themselves a party of law and order.
Yes, of
the
course.
FBI, as law enforcement officers, they go and they execute search warrants every day under the threat of violence. And they have to have that language every single time to protect themselves. In this case, though, they coordinated with the president's lawyers. They coordinated with the Secret Service. Why would you insinuate that that was some kind of attempt at former President Trump's life?
Abby, I'm not making any insinuation.
It's very simple to just say that's not true.
The only thing I'm saying is that what we have witnessed is an uneven application of the law by the Department of Justice. You had Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton violated the Espionage Act. There were no charges.
You're changing
Joe Biden
the
has
subject.
Stop moving the goalposts.
And a huge moment.
Yo, who put wheels on this thing? Why is there an engine here? Yo, stop moving the goalposts.
No, because the purpose of the purpose of the warrant is because of classified material, is it
I'm not talking about
But you have
the
an
purpose of
unequal
the warrant.
application of the law.
I'm talking
you have
about
a two-tier system of justice that you don't want to actually acknowledge.
When you tell your supporters and the former president's supporters that there was a government attempt on the former president's life, and that is not true. That is a major insinuation, and it deserves to be walked back. It deserves to be walked back, Congressman. You talked about that. You tweeted about the FBI document. You're the one changing the subject. But I do want to make one last note because we have to go. But you've been asked this before. I'm going to ask you again, just for the record. If Donald Trump loses the election in 2024, will you accept the results of that election?
My answer has been very clear on this. If the states,
it's a yes or no question.
If the states and localities actually follow rules and procedures,
fair
again,
to say
we just want to
that
have a clear process.
So your answer is conditional based on
my answer is always conditional because you want to see the processes of the election actually go according to law, not according to outside groups and legal cases that come up, and you know they do come up.
The legal cases are how they adjudicate whether they are done by law. So, I think that is definitely on the table.
You should follow the law. That's what the Constitution says.
Congressman.
All right. There he is. There he is. Put the spotlight on Representative Byron Donalds, the trash bag human of the week, number 40. This, first of all, shout out to Mike for giving me the sound clip on that moving the goalposts. Appreciate you, Mike. Now back to Byron Donalds. So this guy is an active sitting member on Congress. And he is, when faced with a very low bar, just to say Donald Trump was never in danger, his life is not being assassinated, he decided he was gonna yes massa and go along with anything that supports Trump's bizarre claims because he's trying to get that VP pick. So, MD, what do you think about number 40, lame duck?
MD.
Oh, MD's on snooze mode. Let's go to Ricardo. Ricardo, what do you think?
Lord have mercy. All right, I don't even know how to begin, so I'm just going to see if I can start somewhere with this dude. So let's just put things into perspective here, because I'd love to know where his propriety is. You were asked one question. There was an investigative report given out about so-and-so in regards to Donald Trump, and it's regular, normal procedural stance and, stipulation in terms of sentences and whatnot. And, this is what this was stated and this is what was given. They went on a narrative and spun whatever they wanted to spun this thing out of control. And when you use certain words, and again, MD and I know these words, what we call them dog whistling to the base. You then dog whistle and say something to the effect of, oh, they were trying to put an attempt on Donald Trump's life, and that is far from the case. Sir, they ask you the commentator asks you one simple question. Do you believe, because you're putting this information out to the people out there, and it's false narrative. It's dangerous rhetoric, and it's something that you shouldn't even be playing with. When you talk about taking someone's life, that's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that, and it's far from it. But you were given the opportunity, and you doubled down by saying, "Oh, but I don't know what Garland is doing, and I don't know what they're doing these days." Sir, they literally in layman terms told you that it's not true, it is not correct, that there was no attempt made on Donald Trump's life, and you still push the narrative. What are you doing? This is what we're doing. This is what you're doing, Byron Donalds, to try to get a VP ticket. You are becoming spineless like the rest of, the people that are out there. It's almost reminiscent of what's his name, the doctor guy that I grew up reading his book, and it was such a good book. If you get me out, Venkat, where he became the surgeon, and his mom couldn't read and all of this stuff.
Ben Carson.
There we go, Ben Carson. It's, to me, this is almost the equivalent of that. Like, what happened to you guys? You're great assets to this community, but when you walk the toe of being master slave and doing the bending over backwards, and we don't know at this point. We don't even know if Donald is doing the bending or y'all are doing the bending. Somebody's doing the bending here, but it's not a good look. I'm gonna need y'all to stop this. Like, it's not a good look at all, and it screams desperation, and it screams spineless, and it screams I just want to belong when I really don't need to belong. I'm gonna need y'all to cut that out because it's not a good look, and it's and you can't help but notice the two contrasting views that it's what's her name on CNN and it's you, and she's literally giving you a pass to actually objective wise state the obvious, and you still double down. What are you guys doing? There was no attempt made. Why would Uncle Joe, of all people, try to take out Donald Trump? Donald Trump could do that himself easily. Like, that's something that he could easily do at any given moment. I don't see why y'all are running with this narrative. And then again, the base is just as stupid and gullible to believe the baseless nonsense lies that you guys are spewing. But I digress, because these people, the megamaniacs that are out there, they don't know better. And if they do know better, they're still under the false narrative and pretense of believing, putting on the blinders on their face and just going with whatever y'all are telling them to do, or whatever y'all are spewing to them to say. It's crazy. Like, stop it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't look good. It's just objective wise, just stupid all around. But again, we digress. I grabbed my popcorn. I'm waiting for the Kabuki Theater to, it's already started. Where I told y'all from the beginning of the show, I had the butter set up. Just gonna grab the popcorn to see how much of y'all are gonna be willing to fight for this VP ticket, because alas, I'm gonna say this from October of last year, and I'm gonna say it again. He is not going to be the president. No one's gonna pick him, because once the ruling comes out this week, once we see a whole barrage of other stuff that's gonna come into play, because I'm sure they're gonna dig up a whole bunch of grave stuff that he has done throughout the years. It's just going to be a done deal, because a lot of people have made up their minds already or about to. None of y'all are going to make the list. So again, why are you doing all of this? For what? To be spineless? There you go. Be spineless. Terrible all around. The optics is just terrible. But lame duck indeed. He really deserved it. Byron Donalds, do better, man. Just do better.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo. MD, what do you think of lame duck number 40?
Yeah, man, Byron Donalds. It's sad to see the depths that not only him but a lot of other people are willing to go to in order to try to garner a position within the hopes of a cabinet that don't exist right now. It's sad, you know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff that Byron Donalds has said in the past, I actually agreed with. Not from a policy standpoint, but just on GP, like just like man stuff. You know what I'm saying? I've actually agreed with him. I don't know necessarily the dynamics and the demographics of his particular district in Florida. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the people that he represents. I don't know how they came up with electing him. That's those people. They got every right at the end of the day. What I do know is he has to uphold the representation of his district and at the same time do what's best for the country. Currently, what he's doing right now is not that. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention that his headline too close. I don't know how he came up with that design. I don't know if his headline is natural light. I don't know. But it don't look organic.
I was looking at the same thing.
It don't look organic to me. I don't know, like he made that up. You know what I'm saying? But in any event, it goes to show you the lengths of what he's willing to do, even with his own headline. You know what I'm saying? So in that aspect, it's a sad situation, because at the end of the day, he's black. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, I can't speak for all black people. But me personally, when I see representation that look like me, I want it to be the full representation of what an American is. Byron Donalds currently, as it stands right now, don't represent that. and that's just what it is. Why I've never seen in all my days of politics people willing to go to these lengths to try to hope to get a cabinet position. Hope, you know what I'm saying? I've never seen it. It's wild to me. And are you willing to sacrifice your whole career for one shot? And currently, as it stands right now, Byron Donalds and others are willing to do that. So hey, bet on yourself. Don't get it twisted. But what's going on right now is monumental. And to the length of where you'll say that Biden tried to plot an attempt of assassination on Trump. Like, that's crazy. But my whole thing is, like, when are people going to be held accountable for saying all these defamatory things? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And it's a lot of defamatory things that's been said. So,
Not to mention Trump himself giving out Obama's address and someone trying to act on it. Not to mention Trump saying that Obama he phone tapped the microwave. I mean, he's been doing all the what's the name's off dad Ted Cruz dad assassinated JFK. I mean, a lot of irresponsible stuff.
yeah, so, hey, man, hey, it's not acceptable to defame somebody's character. That at least that's what I thought. But hey, we talking politics at the end of the day. And then that's all I'll say about that.
Right. Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on Byron Donalds?
I don't know the whole details on the subject, but if the gentleman is backing Trump and trying to push a false narrative, I don't condone it. Let the truth come out. And if Donald Trump, I'm sure he's guilty of many different things, but if he's guilty of any form of, attempts or hiding or whatever the case may be, let him be the first to fall and let it continue to let everybody else fall. Because the problem is that office has been put to too high of a power where it can't be tried. So if this falling of Trump in these matters shows that if you're the president, you're not excluded of the law, then I'm all for it. If he's guilty of it, I'm all for it, because I believe justice should be served no matter your political, socioeconomic, whatever status in life. You should be held accountable the same as the next person. You're not above the law. So, like I said, if this man is, backing him and lying for him, he should be caught with, he's hiding it, so he should be guilty along with it. If you are hiding illegal things for someone and you know that it's illegal, you should be held right there with him. You should be right there with him as an accessory, because enough is enough. I'm tired of seeing these politicians get away with murder, quite literally. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing these politicians stick their greedy fingers in everybody's pockets and make people poor and get away with it, basically legally stealing from people and dressing it up as, well, that's what the law says. Well, the law can be wrong. The law can be wrong in a sense of right and wrong. There are unjust laws and there are just laws. Let the just ones maintain and stand, and let the unjust ones fall. You know how I feel about politicians. They're all dirty, greedy, filthy, just awful people. They're awful people. They take advantage of people. They prey on the emotions of people who want change. They prey on the emotions of people just begging for help. and for change, and they prey on it. And I have no sympathy for them because they need to be held accountable. This man needs to be held accountable. Trump needs to be held accountable. Biden needs to be held accountable. Clinton needs to be held accountable. Every single one of those crooked individuals, I don't care if you're 90 years old. You can put Bill Cosby in jail, put them in jail. They're no different. You can put an old Bill Cosby after many decades. You can put him in jail, put the men in jail. I mean, they're no different. That's how I feel. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care what spin you put on. I don't care what word salad you decide to chef up. Wrong is wrong. And if you sift through the nonsense and look to the core, you'll find the truth. The core of right and wrong. You defraud someone, you're wrong. You lie on someone, you're wrong. You manipulate someone, you're wrong. I don't care. There's no gray area. And that's how I feel about it. I have no sympathy nor weak point for them or soft spot for them. They know what they're doing. They're doing it willingly. Let them face it willingly. And that's what I have to say.
Well, everybody has to face accountability, I guess, except for Diddy.
The jury will now go off and deliberate on...
Guilty! That nigga is guilty!
Sir, settle down. You have to go deliberate.
I don't need to deliberate. Hang that nigga now. I got the rope right here.
All right. So now we're going to go through the final sign-off as we've come to the end of the show. I'd like to start off with Ricardo. Ricardo, final sign-off.
Yes, sir. So, gentlemen, it was a great productive night. There's a lot going on even right now as we speak. The Israeli soldiers are almost at the very point of getting into central Rafah, and there's a lot that's going to be transpiring in the next coming hours. So, that's to show you how really politically turmoiled this whole week is going to be going. And I guess in a couple of hours, because the world community, international community is so against this whole disgusting display of again Netanyahu doing what he wants to do and not listening to anybody's point of view. But I digress. Everybody gets their day, as my wife would say. So he will get his day. Great topics at hand tonight. The show starter, which was the church having so much despicable people in it, and my stance still stands. If you want to be doing your dirty, disgusting deeds of again, Germany, you could disagree with me or not. This is where prostitution comes in. It's either you allow them to do what they need to do, or they're gonna keep doing the same disgusting display. But I do say this: don't be in church and being a bishop and then tiptoeing out and then doing your sexual proclivities. It's not a good look. I would rather you do the worldly thing and just stay out in the world, as opposed to just being in church and then tiptoeing out. You can't be preaching and then telling people another thing. When you're doing the same thing. It's kind of like a conflict of interest, but I digress. But great show. I look forward to next week's show. Good seeing every one of y'all out in the panel, including Twin that was in the chat, and Bones and Daniel and Maria G are missing, but to kill everybody is Mr. Straight Talk as well. Great show. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. And Jeremy, we will have our discussion about prostitution. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo. Jeremy, your final sign-off for tonight?
My final sign-off for tonight would be, I'm going to leave off. We were talking about these men in these so-called churches. I call them so-called because they are the synagogues of Satan. They're not churches. The church is a certain peculiar people. The church is a holy sanctified people. The church is set apart and different than the world. And there's no difference inside of these so-called churches. So what you're seeing is the synagogues of Satan. I'll leave off with Hosea chapter 4 and verse 9. And there shall be like people, like priests, and I will punish them for their ways and reward them their doings. These are people, the church is a hospital. The one who is the head in being led by the Lord is supposed to help heal the people because he is a shepherd. He is there as a protector, spiritually, naturally. He's not there to fulfill his lusts, because if you don't pick up your cross daily, you're not following Christ. If you do not sacrifice yourself daily to the desires of yourself for the will of the Lord and to live holy and sanctified, you are not of his. And he says it. My sheep will hear my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. So his people will hear his voice. There will be many false prophets, as he said. Many false prophets shall arise, deceiving many. Even the elect shall be deceived, if it be all possible in one scripture. So the problem is the church is not seeking the Lord. The church is seeking a good feeling. The church is not seeking the Spirit. The church is not seeking the one who has the power to save. The church is not seeking the Holy One. They're not. They're looking for blessings in this earth. When it says, cast your treasures not here on earth, but cast them up in heaven. Wait for them there. So they're not of Christ, bottom line. There's a lot of them, and they give the church a bad name, and this is why the church is ridiculed and looked down and frowned upon, and they say, oh, well, they're doing the church, so what's the difference? Why should I go? You're right. Why should you go to that place? If it's like the club, you go to the church and it's like the club, what's the point of going? You might as well stay out in the club and go to hell like the rest of them. You might as well. There's no new creature. There's no peculiar people. They're all the same. It's a transformation of your mind, your spirit, everything about you changes. Your speech, your very thoughts, your heart, everything changes. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to change. They want to stay the same, live in the filth, and be clean, supposedly. Another scripture says that the swine wallows in the mud. After it's cleaned, it goes back in it. You're not a new creature. Serving Christ is a sacrifice. And if you don't want to make that sacrifice, well, then make your choice and stay out there. That's your choice. You have that choice. But don't put a bad name on the people who are striving to live holy. Don't put that on us. Yeah, we're not perfect. I'm not holier than thou. But I'm striving. And I'm pulling on the Lord. He's going to change me, not myself. So these people need to stop. I know they won't, but they need to stop. Because your deeds are seen. You can't hide from him. And you will be punished accordingly. You can't escape it. I leave it there. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure again to be here. It's an honor to be allowed to speak on these matters. So I thank you for that time and that patience with me. Even though a lot of people may disagree, I appreciate you even just listening. It means a lot to me. And I hope and pray for more conversations with you brothers, and that we can, have a good dialogue. You have a wonderful night. God bless you all, and peace.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for that. And finally, we got the political prophet amongst men, MD.
Hey, yeah, great show as always, man. Again, man, we back on the grind for this week. I hope everybody had a good holiday, as we said. Well, as I said yesterday, and yeah, man, I'm dog tired, man. I gotta, I gotta get up too. So, yeah, man, yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow, Wrestling with Reality, and next week, TFP. That I'm gonna say peace.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. So we have a very nice viewership, a lot of eyeballs on this show tonight. We appreciate everyone tuning in to us. Check us out every Tuesday, starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'd like to thank Mr. Straight Talk, Trevor. I'd like to thank the panel, the world's most dangerous political panel. You got Ricardo, MD, Jeremy, and of course, we got Mr. Mike. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat. Of course, Tequila. Always great to have Tequila. And she always does right by us. I'd like to thank Daniel Price. He was on fire in that chat. And we appreciate everything you did all night long in the chat because it was great. Also like to say peace to Reg Young. And next week, we'll see you next Tuesday, TFP. Until then, everyone have a great evening. Tomorrow, Wrestling with Reality, 6:05, same channel, same place.
Hey,
All right.
hey, ND, quick question for you.
Yep.
When are you doing that? I don't know if Trevor gave you my number, but
Next Monday, bro. Next Monday.
next month. Okay.
Lock it in.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
care. I don't care if I got 6 toes, bro. I'm doing it.
All right. All right, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem, man.
All right. Peace.
All right. Everyone have a good evening. Good night. Peace.
Good night.
Peace.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.